designed our weekly video segment to take you into the back shelves of your local video store, back where it says horror videos, and where kids are devouring some awful films that we call the video nasties.
Are you freebasing? Inquiring minds want to know.
I have to break free from this culture of mechanical reproductions and the thick incrustations dying on the surface.
Fuck the prime time, bitch!
On with the new flesh.
The pain, I can assure you, will be exquisite. As for our deaths, come with me and be immortal.
We have such sights to show you.
Gotta return some videotapes.
Hello, mutant hounds, and welcome to the It Slays podcast. I'm your humble host, Rowan.
I'm your dusty wig brush, Mike.
I didn't like that, and I'm Colton.
And it's your favorite mutant, deformed hillbilly, Gill. Jill-billy.
Jill-billy. And we are back, and I can't believe this. We're all here. This is a miracle at this time of the year. I don't know.
After the homophobic Pride Month.
It's always homophobic every year.
I was going to say, I don't know if it's because Pride Month's over, Colton's back, or if he's just not telling us that he got fired and he's jobless now.
No, actually, we're taking tomorrow off as our Canada Day.
Oh,
so
nice.
I have like an extra day off, so, I can actually have a weekend this weekend.
How nice of the Americans to allow you to do that.
Right.
I like that they get to judge how you celebrate your Canada Day. Hopefully you have like a lot of like gear you buy from Walmart. They have like, in the front, like the Canada Day hat and the glasses and the shirt that has like some Canada Day slogan.
I have no Canada memorabilia. I just kind of sit in my house and, it's just an extra day to sit inside and watch movies, that sort of thing.
And play games.
Exactly.
But yeah, we're back. We're all here, and it's on Pride Month, so Colton's saying thank God.
As a matter of fact, it is, and that's what you have to do tomorrow to make up for
He's trying to cut it
missing
short.
all the Pride. Nope.
It's still June.
We're hitting. You got one last day. You can watch something
Wow.
Pride tomorrow, and that will
I think
maybe make up.
Colton has to watch multiple Maniacs all day. It's on
Fuck that.
Multiple
I
times.
listened to the episode and I was just like, I've never been more happy to miss an episode, I think. Based off of what you guys were saying and how much you were like, Colton would just absolutely hate this movie.
I think once we have like a lot of Patreon people, a lot of horror hounds, I think one of the things is just all the episodes Colton purposely misses, we just like live stream him watching the videos and just watching him grimace in horror. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be like the $20 tier live stream
Yeah.
torturing me. Watch everything I missed.
He'll do it in boxers. So that's a guarantee. That's a Colton
wow.
guarantee.
Feet out.
Wow, you're really saying like anti-Pride Month right now. Shame Month.
So, yeah, I mean, there's four of us here, so let's get into it. What we've been consuming, what have we been watching, what have we been listening to, what have we been reading, all of that good stuff. Colton, we're starting with you, because you're back.
Oh, God. Yeah, it's the sort of thing where I've been gone for so long that I don't know where to kind of just cut it off. I guess I'll go with that week where I went to the theater and watched like 4 things. I think a couple of them we covered as a double feature. Dangerous Animals and 28 Years Later. But that week I also saw The Materialists, which I don't know if anyone knows of that movie here.
I
really.
haven't got to see it yet, but it's on my list.
Okay, it's the new movie starring Dakota Johnson, Pedro Pascal, and Chris Evans. It's directed by Celine Song, who directed what was probably my favorite or second favorite movie of 2023, Past Lives. This one is marketed as a romantic comedy, but I would say it's probably closer to a romantic drama if a romantic drama was just incredibly unromantic, in my opinion. Dakota Johnson's character, she's a matchmaker, so she believes she has kind of solved the equation of modern dating, and she distills everyone down to a score of 1 to 10 based on their physical attractiveness or their age or height or job or wealth or background or all these different things. And essentially, I just overall thought it was just quite bad. Everyone speaks as if they're kind of robots doing calculations, and all of the dating interactions intentionally kind of read more like business transactions or business deals. Like, I get what they're saying, where obviously you want your partner to kind of offer something that you don't have, but it was just very cold and calculated, I guess, the entire time. I think Dakota Johnson's kind of like laughably bad in the movie. It feels like she misread every line she was given, in my opinion. Like, I could see like a different actress actually bringing a little bit of like romanticism to some of these lines, but she's very sarcastic and cold, and you can just tell she doesn't believe at all what she's saying for most of the movie, which definitely works against a romantic drama. And the movie kind of settles on this weird lens at the end where it kind of posits that only poor people can date poor people and only rich people can date rich people, that there's a class divide, that no matter how much you work to get past it, or no matter how the numbers add up in your favor, you can never kind of get over that. It's kind of like basic human instinct, like nature versus nurture shit. And it was just strange. It was kind of not at all what I was expecting from the person who did Past Lives. That's like this completely romantic, like hopelessly romantic movie that I found like all the interactions in that movie actually feel like humans having like delicate conversations. This was just like very strange. It felt like they didn't know what they were marketing here whatsoever. So it didn't work at all for me. There's also 2 or 3 moments in the movie where there's just tonal whiplash, where it either gets really serious or it takes something that was really silly earlier in the movie and then makes it like an actual problem that they have to solve. Like there's a moment in the movie where I'm sure we're all familiar with this process where men sometimes, and now, I don't know, I've heard it for the last couple of years, where basically they'll spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on an experimental procedure to increase their height anywhere from like 2 to 6 inches. Do you guys know about this? Where they
I've
get
heard
like their
of it,
legs, yeah, they get their legs broken. You're like immobile for 6 months. You have to learn how to walk again after it. And basically it's said as a joke much earlier in the movie, and everyone kind of laughs, and my audience laughed. So when it comes back in the third act as a very dramatic beat, I won't spoil the specifics of it, but I was fucking cackling, and the movie was definitely trying to be earnest with what was happening, and me and my audience members, we were all like, what are we watching here? Like, we felt like we were held hostage. It was something. So at least that'll be memorable. The rest of the movie is not. It's a huge, like, sophomore slump for me. But yeah, that's the Materialist. I wouldn't recommend it. I also checked out The Phoenician Scheme this week, which has been it's been out in theaters for like probably a month now. It's the new Wes Anderson movie. And what I find with Wes Anderson is like every movie he makes nowadays feels like a parody of a Wes Anderson movie. It's like they're also like meticulously like squarely framed. Everything's perfect. The set design is great. Everyone's dressed in like vibrant kind of like pastel colors. And in modern, like the last 2 or 3 releases, I find the plot is always so like needlessly complex that you don't really understand the specifics of what the story is, especially when the characters very quickly and like quirkily explain it with really like flat narration and everyone's just kind of speaking at like a dozen words a second. But outside of that, I did think the performances in this one were all great. Michael Cera, it's his first time ever working with Wes Anderson. And I saw somebody, I can't remember if it was like a tweet or on like a Letterboxd review or something, but they said like Wes Anderson discovering Michael Cera is like the caveman's discovering fire. And I completely agree. He's easily the best thing in this movie. And he's like so fun and quirky as kind of, what is it? Like a bug expert. Is it an entomologist?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's like a Danish entomologist. So he has like a funny accent and like wears like quirky costumes. And he's always talking about bugs. He's just like this delightful little weirdo in the movie that I really liked. And then there's the main actress in the movie as well. I don't know what her name is, but she's kind of playing a nun. And essentially her father, who's played by Benicio del Toro, is incredibly wealthy, but he's also had all these kind of attacks on his life. So he's trying to set up his next of kin. And she's like a nun who doesn't want to be a nun, but is also like, well, maybe I can do more good if I got all this money. She delivers like this very like flat performance that I thought was really endearing. So it's modern Wes Anderson. It's good. It's not great. You know, this is like the sort of director where I definitely feel like the best is behind him, but I still really enjoy seeing everything that he puts out. Next up, I saw F1. Rowan, you haven't seen this yet. This seems like a movie that you would like, right?
I so want to see it.
All right, Mike, you're cackling. You're not a big F1 fan, or?
I Anyway. I can't. Just go on. Carry on.
Yeah. So I checked this out in IMAX last night, and this is Joseph Kosinski's new movie, the follow-up to Top Gun Maverick, which, of course, is a excellent masterpiece of a movie.
Classic.
Absolutely. So is F1 as good as Top Gun Maverick?
During Pride Month.
I'm sorry. Yeah. F1 is like the straightest movie around as well. Top Gun is at least a little bit homoerotic. F1 is like definitely, you're not getting that vibe from it. But it's big, it's commercial. It's certainly not breaking any new ground on the story front. We've all seen this 100 times. But I did think that, like, the cinematography inside of like the Formula One cars as they were racing around was pretty effective, like pretty exciting. Obviously, it's not as interesting as the fighter jets in Maverick, or basically it's not as good as Maverick in any department, but it was still good. Like when I was watching it last night, it's like 2 hours and 40 minutes long or something. Like it's crazy. It's so long and like needlessly so, but I didn't feel like it was that long, is what I'll say. I thought it was pretty entertaining.
Sounds
for
awful.
Your dad's favorite movie, on the IMAX screen, essentially.
I plan on going to see it at some point. I feel like I gotta order, like I can't go into it without like a Top Gun hat on or something.
Oh yeah. This movie like repeats all of like kind of the beats of Top Gun, especially in the beginning, like setting up Brad Pitt's character. It's like the first shot is probably of his bicep. It's probably the second shot is of like a pair of aviator glasses he's getting ready to put on. Then it's like a jean jacket, and they only shoot him from behind as he's going to his car before it's like he's a complete badass. I'm watching Mike roll his eyes, and I agree, it is like really cringy, but
This is literally every 80s action movie ever.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It's the sort of shit we've seen like 100 times, but for whatever reason, I do think it was pretty good in terms of what it's going for. It's not a deep movie, but it was entertaining for the almost
really
3 hours.
Formula One movie isn't deep.
Yeah, believe it or not, it is definitely not deep.
Dad's cinema is so back.
Absolutely. And I don't know, I think I'm just a sucker for racing movies as well. Like I love Ford v Ferrari, which is another
Gran
dad movie.
Turismo slapped too.
Okay, I didn't see that one, but I was gonna say Rush, like from like probably a decade or more now. But that
the
was
only
excellent.
Gran Turismo that matters is the album Gran Turismo by the Cardigans. So anyway, stream Gran Turismo by the Cardigans, not the other one.
Fair enough. And then the last thing I saw was Megan 2.0.
A minute for
Rowan
Megan.
and I, we were going to do a Now Slang on it, but we kind of put it out to the audience about if we should cover it or not, and the results were a little divisive because it is definitely not a horror movie, and in my opinion, it's pretty fucking terrible, so I just didn't really want to do anything with it. But, Rowan, maybe we'll talk about Megan for a minute here. It's the last thing I saw.
Holly
for
was
me,
very passionate that we at least discuss it.
Yeah, so what I'll say, Mike, have you seen it yet? You were a big fan of the first Megan, right?
Yeah, but I literally haven't had a day off in like a week. So.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. And Gill, you haven't checked it out either, right?
No, not yet.
No, okay. Well, I'll keep it vague, but essentially Megan is not in the first hour of the movie. It is more.
I mean, I saw
of
the trailer, so I kind of like know what to expect.
Yeah, it's more of like a thriller, like like a business financial thriller, like kind of with AI. It almost feels like a Crypto Bro movie for like the first hour, which I like absolutely hated. And then for the last probably 30 minutes or so, it's kind of more of an action movie, kind of in the style of, that the ending portion of Malignant, where like there's crazy camera work and, it's all like done obviously with like the hair hanging down in the face so you can't see the actress performing it because it's all like obviously a stunt double. I found like the last probably 20 minutes of Megan 2.0 was like that, where it was just somebody doing cool choreography, but you could just tell that it was, whoever was supposed to teach the actors how to do this, and it wasn't like actual really the actors
I was
doing
like,
anything.
wait, you mean a robot needs a stunt double?
You know what I'm saying? You see Megan's face in Megan. Like, in this, it's literally her hair is hanging over her face the entire thing. And there's not only, like, one robot, believe it or not, in it, right? So it's just kind of like, I don't know, these two faceless stunt doubles fighting and shit, and it was just, I found it
that
so
sounds
boring.
amazing.
It was so boring. It was not a horror movie at all. It was like a
but did you see the trailer? The trailer was not a horror movie. Like,
yeah, but we're like, we're a horror podcast. The first one I thought was okay. This one I was like, okay, we'll at least cover it.
Jurassic Park 2 a couple months ago, remember?
It's great
yes,
film.
And it's very
Great
frightening.
film.
Very frightening. So yeah, anyways, I hated it. It was torture. It felt longer than F1, which I watched right before it, and that was almost 3 hours long. Megan 2.0 felt like a mini series unto itself, and I basically didn't like anything about it. Maybe some of the fight choreography, but it takes way too long for Megan to get into the fray. And a lot of what they do with her, I just find isn't nearly as good as the first one. It's also still completely bloodless and completely has no like interesting kills whatsoever. So it's just not really what I was hoping for in a Megan sequel. Rowan, that's all I've been watching. Take it away with Megan 2.0.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it a little better than Colton liked it. Probably like not much more. Like, I thought Megan was funny. I thought, the singing scene in this is like, I thought my entire audience was just like roaring, laughing, just obviously playing off the first one and doing what you do with the sequel, right? Making it even longer and more cringe and awkward. But shout out that she sings it's a Kate Bush song. So, singing that. But yeah, I mean, it's a weird move for me for this one. Cause it was like, hey, we we made way more money than we thought with like this horror movie. And like, we have this like horror icon. What should we do with it? And it's like, we should not make a horror movie. We should just make an action movie that, like, multiple times references Terminator 2 and just, like, from visuals to things they say.
Banger movie.
Yeah, I mean, T2, great movie. And I mean, yeah, it was just, the whole tone was kind of weird. Also, like, just like a real Republicans movie. All I kept thinking...
Oh my god, nice try.
I mean, all I kept thinking is kind of weird, like, liberals are the villains of this movie, and I was like, this seems like a weird odd, like, I wouldn't really think the Megan audience would be all for the liberals being the bad guys, but apparently that's the world we're in right now. Megan for all, I guess.
Ugh, that's gross.
Yeah, I mean, it's not as good as Megan. Like, I really enjoyed the first Megan. It's nowhere near as good. I'm interested to see what happens because there's like another movie coming out that isn't Megan but is in the Megan universe because this is now an MCU thing, which I don't know. I don't think Colton said it all. This also feels like an MCU, a bad Marvel movie because it's like like a overlord about to take over the world. Is Megan gonna save the world? And
that's every movie.
Not often with
Literally
horror movies,
every
though.
movie.
Not usually the horror movies. Like I don't know, especially like
it
Megan.
looks like the fighting and all that looks like a Marvel movie. Like it feels like a Marvel movie, and I'm like, oh, this is like a comic book villain.
Rowan owns every Marvel movie.
Well, yeah, I do.
Rowan owns every movie.
Yeah, that's right. Every movie. Come on now, guys. Well, I guess you kicked it over me. I'll just go now, and I actually don't even have that much stuff this week. So I did, like Colton said, I watched 28 Years Later, and I already said Dangerous Animals because I saw that forever ago before Colton.
Oh,
it was one of the episodes you weren't on. But yeah, so we saw 28 Years Later. I did rewatch 28 Weeks Later.
So did I.
Yeah, obviously, I don't say my opinions on horror movies in case we pick it, but I'm just going to say, not as bad as Letterboxd would make you think it is.
I don't know.
Listen, this isn't a 28 Weeks Later episode. I'm not going to argue, but I think the strongest opening of the entire series. That's my argument.
Okay.
Does it have Cillian Murphy's dick in it? Like,
it doesn't actually have that, which you might be sad to know, but it's got Robert Carlyle in it, so I mean that's always a plus. I do love myself a Robert Carlyle spot. So some other stuff I did check out. I rewatched The Naked Gun, the first one. No, it's not in. I totally forgot that there was like a Seth MacFarlane remake with Liam Neeson coming out that looks absolutely horrid. The trailers look terrible, but I'm assuming that's why it's on Netflix. They've got them all on Netflix right now, so it popped up. It's a family favorite when I was a kid, and I like it. It's funny.
Naked Gun 33 1/3 is the best, though.
That one is great. I haven't gotten there yet, but...
Man, I haven't seen The Naked Gun. I thought the new trailers looked good.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God. I was going to say I can't imagine it being good because as someone who watched all the Naked Gun movies like 100 times when I was a kid because I had them taped off TV, like, they came out and immediately aged like milk. I just feel like anyway, I don't know, maybe it'll be good, who knows.
I'm gonna give it a chance. You guys know me, I'll give Liam Neeson a chance.
The OJ joke is really good in the trailer. Come on, the OJ joke is at least good.
The OJ joke in the trailer did make me crack up. I just really don't have faith in Seth MacFarlane, so I'm not a big Seth MacFarlane guy, so I just feel like the humor might be, and like the humor is so shticky in the original Naked Guns. Like, I'm such a fan of like Airplane and like all that stuff.
Oh my God, yes. Did you ever see Kentucky Fried Movie?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I just feel like they haven't been able to pull off good stuff like that since like, I don't know, like maybe Scary Movie 2 are probably the last ones that are like that parody kind of thing. I did finally get a chance to check out Warfare. I had been on my list forever.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and I missed it in the theater, sadly. It didn't play very long here. Yeah, absolutely loved it. I thought it was really well done. The sound work on it is, like, incredible. And I just thought it was kind of interesting for just kind of this, like, war movie that doesn't really seem that, like, most war movies, there's like, you're like, it's either leaning this way or this way. I felt this was like kind of neutral. It's just like what people experience, and that's it. And I just thought it was like a really unique perspective, and I was just very engaged in it, and it's pretty intense. I also got to check out The Insider, because I had never seen it before, with Pacino and Russell Crowe, and I really liked it. These kind of movies are my jam, like those like 90s, like what conspiracy corporate thrillers, as Colton was just talking about.
Wait, you should be a huge fan of Megan.
Really though. But yeah, I thought this was fantastic. Crowe's amazing in it. Pacino's amazing in it. I love myself a good like journalism movie that's like, about journalists going through stuff. So I really, really enjoyed this. And this is kind of funny because before we recorded, we were talking about a movie that this guy was in. I watched Cheech and Chong's last movie, which is their new documentary that is out, and I absolutely adored this. Really cool. Like, the setup for it is they're driving to in the desert as old men as they are now, and just kind of reflecting on their whole career. So it starts off their beginning of their careers, like when they're kids, all the way up to now. But I thought what the coolest thing about this was obviously they haven't kind of worked together for a long time. And, like many duos, like there was some riffs and they were kind of sick of each other. And when you make a documentary, of course, that's what everyone wants to know about. They're like, I want to know about you guys hating each other. And they literally talk about it for maybe 30 seconds and talk about how at the age they are now that they have no interest in hating each other or reliving the issues and saying like, I don't even remember why we were mad at each other. And they said, you know what, let's skip the bad parts and we're back together now. And it was really just like this celebration of, this duo that realistically, like, it's kind of incredible. They're super famous because they're so niche, and they really kind of fought the odds that they really shouldn't have been as big as they were. And, ever since I was a kid, I've been a huge Cheech and Chong fan. So, I grew up, I had the records.
To everybody's shock.
Yeah. So I really enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty interesting. It was pretty funny. And then, equally, I don't know, funny from childhood, but maybe not mine. I went and saw Lilo and Stitch.
I am offended that you haven't seen the original movie and watched the live action one first.
I've never seen it. I will say it's still on my list. I'm going to check it out just so I have a reference point here.
Mm-hmm.
Rowan, Ohana means family. Family means nobody gets left behind. And at the end of the remake, I've heard Lilo gets left behind. Is that true?
I also heard that.
Damn.
Kind of. You know what? I guess in total, she kind of does. Listen, I'm not going to...
I was going to say, this is a lot of words for yes.
Yes, but no. I don't know how the cartoon ends. This one, I think it's happy for everyone. The older sister gets to go to college, and... their family takes care of the younger sister while she goes to college so she can go to college.
So they changed it.
I guess,
yes. That's what I'm saying. She gets left behind.
They're allowing the younger sister to have a life and an education and not be like a 19-year-old mom to her sister, which I think is a positive. It's not like...
I guess, but there's a lot of people who could have related to that character too, who had to take in their sister.
Yeah, so this one, obviously I went with my kid. My kid really wants to. My kid liked it. She loved it. In fact, she said she thought this was better than the card. She had seen the cartoon. I don't know if there's that much of a connection for her.
I'm just going to be salty
cartoon.
about it. So
bad taste runs in the family.
Oh,
I'm not gonna lie. This one, there was quite a few people in the theater, and everybody was crying in the theater. Most of the time, this is the most depressing kids movie I think I've seen next to Neverending Story. It's super sad. It's there's not many happy beats on this. I don't know the original story, but
did they cut out all the Elvis?
Who's Elvis? I don't know. I don't know who any of these people are. They're just people on the screen.
Stitch
Elvis. Elvis
okay.
Stitch. No, there's lots of Elvis music and
right.
Elvis Stitch dancing and singing and doing all that kind of stuff.
Phew.
You're scaring me.
What did you think they were referring to?
I don't know.
Elvis.
Who's Elvis?
Who's Elvis? Oh yeah, it's all in the whole movie.
No, but this is I don't know if the original story is about this, but this is all about foster care and adoption and all that stuff. And yeah, so this would have been a good warning to someone with a child with all this kind of trauma. And yeah. So, and like I said, it's not happy. It's depressing. It's all depressing. It's an entire story of a kid trying to be taken away by social services. And I was awesome. This is a great time, guys. Thanks.
I don't remember the cartoon one, the animated one, being sad. We all loved it as kids. We watched it over and over again.
As much as kind of a nothing burger this is to me in my personal life, the older sister I thought was really good in this. She was a really good actress and did a fantastic job. That's all I have to say about Lilo and Stitch, because I don't really
I heard
care.
She wasn't thick enough though.
I don't know. Is that
She's
the
supposed
case?
to be thick.
I'm neutral. Thick enough for Rowan.
Okay,
yeah, I'm neutral in these causes. I'm neither a yes or a no. I'm very political about this.
Okay.
And then the last couple, or I guess really the last two, I just did rewatches. I rewatched Annihilation.
Ooh.
I was at work. Two people were I've never seen Annihilation. And I was sweet, let's watch it.
You're let me ruin your night.
Loved it. I mean, it's a banger. It's Annihilation. And I feel every time I see it, I like it more. And there's things I'm oh, okay.
Wait, didn't you like it, Colton? Why are you shaking your head?
I think it's very overhyped. I think I probably gave it an okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we covered that, right?
Yeah,
we did.
That, I'm sure.
We talked about
yeah, we
it.
don't
I
have
mean,
to
it's not
relitigate
nearly as good as the book,
Annihilation.
But what is,
The Silver Surfer stuff definitely loses me big time at the end. So,
and then I was going to say Rise of the Silver Surfer. No, it wasn't that. No, and then I watched Black Swan. First time I've ever seen it.
Oh, nice.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Pride Month.
I feel that's one that could possibly be a pick someday. So I watched it.
It's not.
I processed it.
I saw it 5 times in theaters. It's not it could possibly be a pick. It's when is it going to be a pick?
It's on my
well,
list.
Well, the podcast has been going for 6 years and you still haven't picked it. So.
We have lots of options.
Yes, well, that's because I got dicked by theme months numerous times. So. When are we having Swan Month? When are we having Ballet Month?
Hold your tongue. Jawgust is almost here. Hold your tongue.
Okay, well, the new jaw is my jaw hitting the floor the first time I saw Black Swan.
Gagged.
Gagged. Gag him.
I was just very surprised I'd never seen this because I'm generally a fan of Darren Aronofsky, and this is kind of like, I think, one of the few of his I've never seen before. So yeah, it was interesting to see that, and that's really all I've been consuming. What about you, Jill?
All right. Well, you guys, I know you covered 28 Years Later on an episode of Now Slaying. I also rewatched 28 Weeks Later the night before I went to go see 28 Years Later. And I remember really liking 28 Weeks Later's. Let me start over. 28 Weeks Later. And kind of like the same effect that we all kind of had when we covered 28 Days Later. We remember it being like really good and like near and dear to our hearts, and then rewatching it, it's not as good. Like it just didn't age well or something. And I've watched 28 Weeks Later like not too long ago, so I don't know why I was so crusty on this rewatch, but I was like, this isn't as good as I remember it being. But anyways, I'm sure we'll cover that on another episode eventually. And then I went to see 28 Years Later. I went to go see it again yesterday in theaters because I loved it that much. I don't know if this is like a hot take, but for me, it's my favorite 28 days, weeks, years movie.
It's probably not that hot of a take, seeing how me and Colton in our episode were discussing how everyone's saying it's like movie of the year, and neither of us understood that. So
that's because Ms. Jodie Comer is in it.
I need to go listen to your episode.
Period.
You should listen to our episode. We have great thoughts on the movie.
I mean, I'm interested regardless of what the thoughts are, but you know, it was just as good on the second watch. I thought it was like more polished than the other two, and I know that's like a big draw, especially for me because I like the grungy feel of the first two movies. But I feel like this one was still able to achieve a sort of like dirtiness to it, but still be very kind of artful and appealing visually.
I mean, it's fine. You can you don't have to hide it. You can tell people you just love the big dongs, and it's cool.
Okay. I mean, so I feel like the first watch, I was trying not to focus on the dong because I was like, oh, God. And I was trying to pay attention to the movie. But ever since I watched this movie, I've been on like TikTok and Reddit, and it's just everywhere, man. Like the dong is everywhere. It be flopping. It be flaccid. So on this watch, I was kind of like actually trying to. This sounds really creepy.
You were trying to look
I was actually trying to like pinpoint the dong. I was
admit?
like, yeah, I was staring at it. I was like tracking it with my eyes the entire time it was on the screen because I was trying to figure out how much dong are they showing.
Were you yelling at the projectionist? You're like, pause it.
Enhance.
Right here.
I mean, you know what? I love that they did that. It's crazy. I loved all the themes in it. I'm sure if we ever cover it again on the show, we'll have a theme corner. I just know when I listen to your episode, I'm gonna get fucking backlashed from all that. But anyways, I really liked it, so that was a slay for me. Apart from that, rewatched The Craft with Mike. And our friends, Trevor and Willow's. And Willow had just purchased it on 4K for our little girls hangout.
Looks fantastic.
It looks amazing.
The menu is so fucking good. We were like staring at it for like 20 minutes.
Hours. Yeah, it was on for a while. And it looks so good. And the wigs look extra bad in 4K. So if anyone's wondering, you can really tell where the bad wigs are.
Some nice crispy wig action going on.
Absolutely. And that was fun. And we just covered that one on the podcast like almost a year ago. I think it was last fall. But, you know, it's still so good.
We discovered that, remember we were talking about this, we kind of alluded to it before we started recording, but we noticed, because I hadn't actually seen, like the last time I watched an actual copy of The Craft was probably like on VHS back in the day. And we noticed that there was a little snippet in the 4K that was not in they cut from like the one on Prime or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it was so fucking
things.
stupid. But yeah, and what was it, Jill? Tell them.
Was it the blood?
Yeah, it was a literally 4-second, if that, flashback to like, because you know how she says to them, like, you know, they see her scars on her wrists. Yeah. It actually does like a little quick 3-second flashback to like the night that she slit her wrists, and it shows like the blood and like her bloody wrist.
Yeah.
Which was not in the one on streaming.
Yeah.
It's just a quick little
that.
And me and Jill both looked at each other and went, that was not on the one we watched, right?
Like, I've never seen this before, sort of deal.
Yeah. So again, that's like physical media, man. Fuck streaming.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Fuck Amazon, fuck Disney, fuck every one of them.
Fuck them all.
Yeah.
Okay. And the last thing I watched, and I'm so sorry to everyone in the world who's listening, like the 3 people listening. I watched From Dusk Till Dawn. And okay, let me explain myself a little bit.
She has to do this because we've already dogpiled on her before we started recording, by the way.
I've already been like humiliated publicly. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like I thought I had seen it before and I remembered it being something else, and it was not. I had never seen this movie before. So I was like, where are the vampires? And it took a really long time for it to get to vampires. It's just like Pulp Fiction, but not as good. And I love Pulp Fiction, but I just wanted some fucking vampires. And
Lord forbid a movie has a setup. Lord forbid.
A setup for like an hour. And then I just didn't care at that point.
Have you seen Sinners yet, Jill?
I haven't. I feel like I'm going to like Sinners. But maybe it's because I know what it's going to be.
We'll discuss.
I'll get back to you guys. I'm going to go watch Sinners. But I'm sorry. I did like Tom Savini as the sex machine. I thought he was really funny, especially the prosthetics when he's like morphing into a vampire. It's also really funny when he's trying to hide it. And he's like, oops. And like, you know, his fangs are popping out or his eyes are bulging out of his head. And the effects done by Greg Nicotero. Also relevant for the movie we're going to discuss today.
I was going to say, yeah.
I love seeing him pop up. Apart from that, the book that I'm currently reading is Saraya, Helen Boots, which is a memoir by the female professional wrestler Saraya or Paige. And I've been a big fan of her for a while, and it's a pretty new book, so I started reading it. It's really good. I'm having trouble putting it down. I really enjoy memoirs anyway, and this is a really good one. I know she also does the audio on the audiobook, so I'm probably going to listen to a couple chapters while I read along just to hear it in her voice. But yeah, really cool. And that's all I've been up to. Mike, why don't you finish us off over here?
It's going to be real sad on Jill's pick when people listen to the episode, and I've just cut all her vocals out because of that. From Dusk Till Dawn.
I'm just not on the episode.
The Dusk Till Dawn shade is going to be like the stake in the heart, so to speak. It's a Jill, your toast.
I know it's coming. I know it's never gonna relent, and I just hate it.
Okay, so I actually, watched a few things. Believe it or not, for once. I remember there was one week I was like, I watched one thing in the last month. Like Jill said, we, a bunch of, friends of the cast got together and watched The Craft. It looked great. I liked it better than the last time I rewatched it for the podcast because it's the type of movie that you would have like watched at a slumber party in like the 90s or 2000s. And so it kind of had that like feel like when you're watching it with people and just like kind of kicking back. So that was wonderful. It looked amazing. Definitely want to pick up the 4K of that. Physical media forever. So I definitely got a couple of like Pride Month picks in here. One I watched was, I'm like trying to fill in some of my blank spots, some of my blind spots, by watching and rewatching more like old Hammer horrors and stuff like that. And one night I was just kind of like, okay, going through my list on Tubi of like ones that I had flagged. And I remember that they did one based on Carmilla, which who doesn't love Carmilla? It's one of the classic vampire stories,
Hell yeah.
Yeah. vampire lovers, so that was wonderful. I love a good period piece. We love like gothic, flowy gowns, candles, large estates, crumbling stone mansions and castles. Like, it's just wonderful. Like,
Does Scream Factory have a release of that?
I believe they do, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Actually, yeah, they do, because I showed my friend
In fact, I
of the
think they
actual
have
DVD.
two releases. I think they like released it a long time ago and then they re-released it like a couple years ago. Okay. I was wondering, I've never seen it, but it's on my list of like stuff to buy, stuff to watch.
Yeah. If there's a Scream Factory sale, you should definitely get it. It's a good movie.
Okay.
It's like, I think I gave it like 3.5 stars, so it's like nice, solid, put it on, and you can kind of switch your brain off a little bit, but like the acting is wonderful, and there's some classics in it, and just some good lesbian vampire action for Pride Month. On my bad Tubi movie night, my friend and I watched this movie called Hotline, which was a TV movie, of course, from 1982, starring the legendary Linda Carter, aka Wonder Woman.
Nice.
Who is still a badass. We love her. She's like standing up for, all the shit going on in the States right now. She's so amazing. But yeah, it was like this TV movie about a like waitress who also becomes a helpline, like a crisis line operator. It's kind of bizarre. And then she kind of like starts talking to this guy, and he's like kind of crazy, and like starts stalking her, and it was very bad and very very 80s TV movie about an operator. But like, I have such a hard on for like movies that involve people on the phone. Like When a Stranger Calls and Scream, and anything where there's like phone calls and terror coming from those calls, I'm into. So that was like a bad movie, but it actually wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, which was almost disappointing. You know what I mean? Like, I wanted it to be really, really, really bad, and I was like, oh, this is actually half decent. Not what I expected, but yeah, it's totally like, if you're into Linda Carter or phone terror, definitely watch that. I will say though, it looked like a VHS rip that they took off YouTube and saved it in FLV and then uploaded to Tubi, so beware, you're gonna see like maybe 3 pixels by 3 pixels. And another one I watched was actually, I don't remember if I messaged you this or not, but I went into our local store the other day, and they just that day happened to get in the brand new 4K of a classic slasher, Sorority House Massacre, and I bought it because
nice.
I knew that if I was like,
I've
should
never
I buy
seen it, but it's on my list.
Oh yeah, it's like, in my mind, I used to have the VHS from like an old, out of business movie store, and I liked watching it when I was young, but I was like, oh man, that was such a bad movie. And so I bought the 4K just because I was like, fuck it, like if I don't, I'm gonna regret it. And I decided, instead of waiting, that I was like, fuck it, I'm watching it tonight. And it was way better than I remembered it. Like, it's still not a good movie, but like in 4K, it looks beautiful, and like it's really well shot. And so it's it also has a trope that I love, which is psychic connection to a killer. I love that.
God.
Like, yeah, so it's like, all the sorority girls are gone away for the weekend, and only the few of them stayed behind, and turns out that this sorority house was like the site of a murder back in the day, and the sister of the murderer who survived becomes like a sorority sister, and as soon as she goes in there, he like wakes up with his psychic connection and like breaks out of the mental asylum and just goes to the house to like murder everybody. And it's like really well shot, and it's really well acted, and then it's got the most 80s fashions I've ever seen. Like, we're talking, like huge shoulder pads, big, massive teased hair, like hairspray everywhere. Like the ozone layer hole came from that movie. But it was so much fun, and I like almost regretted I was watching it by myself. I was like, oh, I wish I had people here drinking and watching this. So it was way better than I remembered it being. So if anybody's like thinking about getting the 4K of that, who put it out? It might have been Scream Factory.
I think it's Scream Factory, because for a long time the rights were with MVD or someone, and I think they just got them back. So yeah, I think it's Scream Factory.
Yes, yeah. See, and I missed they put out a like Blu-ray of it that sold out in like a month, and they never put it like restocked it. So yeah, it was. You're right. It was Scream Factory. Anyway, yeah, check that out if you were on the fence. It looks beautiful, and it's better than I remembered it. So hooray for that. Not quite horror, but definitely worth mentioning is I had this like hankering to rewatch one of my favorites ever, and that is Jane Campion's Portrait of a Lady, which is such a fucking underrated movie. Like, it was the most banger cast I think I've ever seen. And this was, like, after Jane Campion won a bajillion Oscars for, like, the piano and shit. So this should have been, like, a massive hit, and it wasn't. Like, it stars Nicole Kidman. It's got Barbara Hershey, like, John Malkovich. Like, every fucking person that you could possibly think of that was in, like, art movies or, like, Oscar movies in the 90s, like, was in this movie. Like, you go through it, and it's just, like, banger, 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 banger.
I'm looking at it now. It's actually pretty insane. Like,
yeah,
Viggo Mortensen, Christian Bale, Shelley Duvall, Richard E. Grant.
Yeah. Mary Louise Parker, Shelley Winters, like Martin Donovan. Literally everybody in this is somebody. It's wild, and I hadn't watched it in a really long time, and it fucking holds up, man. Like, banger movie. It's like a Henry James novel, so it's like a period piece of, like, you know, essentially, like, you know, and it was young Nicole Kidman too. She was probably like 28 or so, still under Tom's thumb, but we won't go there. And she's, you know, comes into money from her uncle, and so she doesn't need to marry a man. She's not dependent on marrying a man to, like, be able to afford to live, because he leaves her this money, and so that gives her this, like, opportunity to, like, go abroad and, like, experience the world and, like, see things and meet people. And of course, because it's a Henry James adaptation, you know, there are people scheming to get her money from her and stuff, which obviously includes John Malkovich, because he's always evil, but he's also insanely hot and so fucking good in this movie. Like, it's wild. And this is not technically a Pride pick, but he is very clearly a June favorite, as we now call a slur. The new slur is June favorite. So it kind of was like a dark horse Pride pick. But yeah, if you like period pieces, and it's not dry at all. Like, I went on Letterboxd and everyone's like, blah blah blah, nothing happens, and I'm like, this is a Jane Campion movie. It's like formally jaw-dropping. Like, what are you talking about? But anyway, you know, people, they just can't see past the, like, fucking basic ass plot. So I'll just quickly catch up on the last couple. They did the 20th anniversary last week. Our cinema actually got it here. I'm, like, flabbergasted, but it was the 20th anniversary of the original release of Brokeback Mountain. So Cineplex in Canada had a bunch of theaters doing limited screenings for it. We got it here. So a couple of us went to see it in the afternoon showing, thinking that would be good. There wouldn't be anybody there. We could cry. So we walked in, and there was like 3 people there other than us. And then by the time the movie started, there was like 50 people there. I was like, I've seen this movie like 5 times. There's no way it's still going to affect me. And like the whole time I was literally like white knuckling my arms on my chair. And I was like, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry. Oh, and me and Willow were just there like, ugh. I was literally biting my finger because I was like, I don't want to be that fucking man sobbing in this movie. Because I saw Brokeback Mountain when it first came out, and we were like kids, and there was this older man sat in front of us by himself, and he was just weeping, and we made fun of him after the movie. And now that I'm like in a different point in my life, I was like, God damn it. I feel like such an asshole for like making fun of that man sitting in this theater by himself, crying at this very devastating movie. And I'm like,
you know the issue, Mike. It's because I can't quit you.
I can't quit you. Oh my God. I was like, even that fucking corny ass line that they used in all the marketing, I was like, that is not going to affect me. And it did. I was like, oh God, they're going to say it. I was like, I turned to Willow. I was like, this fucking movie, they're going to say it. But yeah, so apologies, man in the theater 20 years ago who was alone and crying and probably actually like completely devastated. My hat's off to you.
You've turned into him.
I've turned into you. I've tasted my own medicine and it is bitter. Yeah, so it was fantastic. You know, it reminded me of how amazing that movie actually is, seeing it in theaters again. I also caught up on one that I never saw before, and I was not I was kind of looking forward to, but not really, and I'm pretty sure everybody here hated it. But
no, we did a Now Slain on it, I think.
Do you know what I'm going to say?
I think.
Totally Killer?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Me and Jill, we did a Now Slain on it.
Oh, okay.
We love it.
Like
okay, I was going to say,
I
was like, I certainly didn't do a Now Slaying on it.
No, I think you bowed out of that one. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was really skeptical because I love the cast. Like, I love the cast and I love horror comedies. But I just looked at it and went, this is The Final Girls. I've seen that 5 times. I don't really need to see it again with a different cast. And I decided the other night I was having like a really bad day. And I was like, I need to put on something funny. But of course it had to have murder in it. So I decided to put that on. And I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a good movie as such, but like for that kind of like it's like a cliche horror comedy, but like it's really charming. It's really fun.
For like a right to streaming like movie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. My bar was like really low for it, and I was like pleasantly surprised. And honestly, I love Kiernan Shipka. Like, I think she is one of the like most charming actresses working right now, and I like stand by that. I've loved her since she was on Mad Men. Exactly. Like, even as a kid, everybody hated her on that, but I'm like, it's the character. She was really good as that character. The character was just
gotta be a shitty little kid. Yeah.
Yeah, she's an asshole kid.
Yeah.
Like, hello. And I also watched A Kiss Before Dying, which is kind of horror-y because it's based on a novel by Ira Levin, who wrote Rosemary's Baby, Sliver, what else? Like 800. The Boys from Brazil, if anybody saw that. Yeah, but like he wrote Rosemary's Baby, so it's like literally what more do you need? Anyway, his first novel was like a thriller, and it was in the 50s, and this was like a noir thriller, but like in color. And I was not expecting much from it, and it was really good because they did an adaptation of it in the 90s that everybody hates. And Sean Young played twins in it and got 2 Razzies for worst actress because she
great.
because she played two different characters, and I was like, man, that is so nasty. Like, whoever did that, like, I literally hope that if you're still alive, you're stepping on Legos every day of your life, because that was some woman hating right there. But yeah, the movie was really good. I really enjoyed it. It was on Prime. If you like 50s thrillers, you should definitely check it out. And the last thing I watched was trying to cram in as many Pride-ish movies as I can. So I watched another movie that devastated me when I first saw it about 20 years ago, and it's one of the great movies of all time. And that is Pedro Almodovar's All About My Mother. And I kind of want to throw it out now because I truly don't know. Have any of you seen any of his movies?
I haven't. Is this the one that's like #1 on the Sight and Sounds list last year?
Probably. It's a perfect movie.
I feel like this was #1, or it was like in the top 5 or something.
I believe it.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, it's a movie that is beloved by every person that watches it.
I haven't seen anything by him. His movie, The Room Next Door, was at TIFF last year, which is why I was like, fuck, I think I've seen something by Almodovar.
Oh, yeah, is that the one with Tilda Swinton in it?
Yeah, and Julianne Moore.
Yeah,
I
still haven't seen that.
Anything. Yeah, I haven't seen anything by him.
Yeah, his stuff is really good. It's really vibrant and extremely emotional and heightened. He plays a lot on like kind of classic melodrama movie tropes and stuff, so it's a lot of sort of over the top emotion, and they're really like visually vibrant and colorful. He works with the same casts a lot, so it's kind of like a big family. Yeah, and this movie is insane. Like, one of the first times I ever cried in front of another person watching a movie was when my friend showed me this shortly after. It was like the first time we hung out, and he's like, you got to watch All About My Mother. And I fucking like smoked a joint and watched and just like sobbed at his house and felt like a complete idiot. But it's amazing. Everybody should see it. It's a Spanish movie, and it's about this like single mother, and she has this like really smart, precocious teenage boy who's, you know, really into like actresses and movies and stuff. So June favorite, shall we say, without saying it. And it shows them having this like really close, amazing relationship, and then he ends up dying a few minutes into the movie, essentially, and she's grief-stricken, and so she goes to track down the father in another city, and ends up falling in with like a nun and like sex workers and an actress, and the cast is insane. Like Penelope Cruz is in it, and it's just like this beautiful who's who of like Spanish cinema, and literally you'll bawl. It's like chef's kiss. Love it. Number one, everybody should see it. Watch all of his movies, but definitely if you're only going to watch one, start with this one. So All About My Mother, Pedro Almodovar, watch it. It's on Criterion.
You were saying they all work together like a tight-knit family. Would you say they're a tight-knit family like the family in From Dusk Till Dawn, or...
Oh my god.
Or the tight-knit family in F1, the pit crew that services Brad Pitt's car.
Definitely more the latter. Definitely like it resembles, and you know, I'm saying that as a troll right now, and now I'm like, it definitely is more F1 than From Dusk Till Dawn, but oh god, I hate you, Rowan.
Well, with that, let's transport ourselves back to 2006. I was a year out of high school by then, DJing at the local bar, not getting paid, just having to spend all the money I get paid on my drink tab.
Getting paid in experience, bro.
That's right. Jill, why don't you tell people about your pick, why you picked it?
All right. Well, my pick is 2006's The Hills Have Eyes. I figure it's kind of vacation season for a lot of people on summer vacation. You have to be in close, tight quarters with your family. It can be a nightmare. It can be more of a nightmare when you end up surrounded by mutant, freak, cannibal hillbillies. And it's been a while since I saw it. The last time I saw it was in 2006. When it first came out, it was something I rented. These were the types of movies I rented at the time, and I'd watch them with my friends. And I remember really liking it, and I just wanted to see how it was with a rewatch. And me and Rowan have kind of been talking about it, and how much Colton also, I think, enjoys this movie. And so I figured it was a good time to pick it, and just wanted to hear what everybody thought about it. So yeah. The Hills Have Eyes.
Well, with that, let's get into the trailer, and then we'll be back with our synopsis and first experiences.
In 1953, one family survived a nuclear explosion. The government abandoned them. The testing changed them. But what didn't kill them only made them deadlier.
Where's Mom? Would you play with us?
The Hills Have Eyes. In theaters March 10th. Rated R.
The Hills Have Eyes was directed by Alexander Aja and written by Alexander Aja and Gregory Levasseur, and the story is as follows. A family road trip goes terrifyingly awry when they become stranded in an old atomic testing zone. Miles from civilization, the family soon realizes the seemingly uninhabited wasteland around them is actually a breeding ground for bloodthirsty mutants, and they are the prey.
So, our first experiences, is this our first time seeing it, or in 2006 were we all just scarred for life? Jill, it's your pick. You already kind of said that you seen it. Was there anything else you wanted to add, or are you just going to bump it to the next person, or?
I mean, I will say that at the time I remember it being like one of the prominent movies I watched in the early 2000s. And there were a lot of like kind of big releases at that time, but this is one that I always wanted to revisit it, but it was kind of gnarly, so I needed to wait some time. And yeah, that's all I remember. Colton, I'm dying to know what you think of it. So what's your first experience?
I feel like I must have talked about this at some point on the show, but maybe not, because this is like a formative horror experience for me, or at least I can remember like when I saw it, like it was yesterday. So I was 13. It was at the Arcturus Theater in Goose Bay. And essentially this was one of the movies that was R16, and you had to be 16 or accompanied by an adult, essentially. But I was only 13. So me and a few of my friends, we really wanted to see it. I think there was 5 of us. And essentially, we figured we'd all go in and lie and say we were 16 and see if we can get in. And I remember I went up first, and I was like standing up tall, I went in, just confidently said I was 16, one for The Hills Have Eyes, and I got in. My other friend who had like a little bit of like a mustache, he was just starting to grow one. He went in after me. And he managed to get in for 16 as well. But the other 3, they never made it in. So there's just two of us in the Hills Have Eyes.
And you said, fuck them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we left them behind. We were like, yeah, we're
Lilo and
gonna go.
Stitch, man. Lilo and Stitch.
Ohana.
Absolutely. Now, they did get in like after like 15, 20 minutes, but they had to pay a man outside the theater like $5 to say that they were with him, and he brought them inside. So they did make it in afterwards, just in time for the movie to start. But yeah, they all knew that these kids weren't 16. And when I remember like sitting down watching it, I remember being instantly terrified by the opening credits of like the music that was playing with like the cuts of like atomic testing to like mutant children and, you know, deformities and whatnot. And I just like, that's like imprinted on me. So I've only seen this once. It was when I was 13 in the theater. And this was the next time I watched it yesterday. Rowan, is this the first time you've seen this?
No, so I've seen this many, many a times. I think it's funny because I feel like there's we'll see with Mike, but this through line, even though I said, you know, this would have been a year after I graduated, I thought for sure I saw it in the theater, but me and X were talking about it last night, and I was like, I always remember what theater I see stuff in, and like I would have still been living like locally here, and I was like, there's no way I saw this at this theater. So I must have saw it when it first came out to video. But also, I think a word that we've kind of used, like formative, even though I was older, like this is just a movie that like might be imprinted on me like more than any other movie I've ever watched. I don't know why that is, but yeah, like I remember I saw this with Exilia, and this is a movie that we both have kind of fond memory. Like this is a movie that, you know, I always talk about like when I watch stuff for the podcast, like Exilia never wants to watch any of the things we watch for the podcast, or if she does, like, or if she's in the room, she's just not paying attention. But this is like one that I'm like, oh, I have to watch this. And it was like, oh, I'm going to watch that with you because I like that movie. So yeah, I've seen this tons of times. I think I've owned it tons of times too. Like this is a movie I've bought, you know, anytime I've moved and had to like, you know, restart the collection or missing stuff. This is like kind of one of the first horror movies I always buy to put into my collection. So yeah, I've seen it many times. What about you, Mike?
I definitely have not seen it as many times as you have, because who has? Really? I've seen it a few times over the years, most notably opening night in theaters. I remember vividly when the trailer for this came out, because obviously, as we know, historically, their previous movie, High Tension, was like my favorite movie of all time. So I was like, oh, like I need to see this. Like I love, and obviously, you know, I have such a hard on for Wes Craven, and I love the original Hills Have Eyes. So, oh my God, like this man directing a Hills Have Eyes remake, sign me up. And then the trailer dropped and I watched it over and over and over. I'm telling you, that fucking like Mamas and the Papas, needle drop and everything, like imprinted, like we were using this word, and I think it's a very good word for this movie. So of course I got stoned and saw it opening night, and did I love it? Yes. Did I? Okay, so I also need to say that this was a time of severe mental illness for me. And yeah, maybe getting stoned and going to see this in a theater was not the move, but that's what I did. And I got out of the theater, told my friend I absolutely love this, and then went home and proceeded to like have a fucking borderline anxiety attack because it was so fucking gnarly, and I just thought it was so scary. And then here's the catch. Like a couple months later, whenever it came out on DVD, my roommate did not go to the movie with me, but he had seen me like flip out about it. And so of course I bought the DVD and said, we need to watch it. And of course proceeded to get stoned and was traumatized by it again.
Like
so it was a few years after that before I was like, okay, I'll show it to somebody else. And it's fine when you're not in a like state of mental anxiety. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I've seen it a few times over the years since then, but I try not to watch it very often because it just reminds me of like trauma. like psychological trauma, honestly.
I can't believe I just now it clicked in. I forgot that he directed High Tension. I was like, what is Mike talking about? Yeah. Okay. Well, with that, I don't know. Let's let's ring the dinner bell. I got breakfast cooking. It's dogs and babies. So, let's talk about The Hills Have Eyes and how scarred we are from this film. My opening note on this was that I still haven't seen the original. I don't know about you guys. Yeah.
Same. Me neither.
Oh my
god. Okay, guys, and this is a horror podcast.
I know.
So disappointing.
It's embarrassing. I was actually going to watch it today, but I intentionally didn't, just because if it was better, then it's like, oh, okay, well, then I'm just going to be constantly comparing it to the other one.
It would taint your discussion, yeah.
Yeah, so it was just like, I didn't really want to watch it because either it would be better, or I would watch it and kind of be bored because I just watched basically if it's too similar.
Same movie. Yeah.
I didn't want to do the comparison the whole time.
But what I will ask, I guess, Mike, I don't know how recently you've seen the original. Is this a faithful adaptation of it? Obviously, I expect it to be much meaner than the original. But
it's nasty. I haven't seen the original in honestly a very long time. It's one of those that I bought the special edition DVD when it came out back in the day, and it was one that I kept kind of going I'll pick it up on Blu-ray eventually. I don't even know if it came out on Blu-ray, so I haven't seen it in years and years and years. But I remember one of the things that I did say when I left the theater was that was a good adaptation, but it was gnarlier and you said nastier. It was just more mean-spirited, but not by a lot, because Wes Craven's one is also really brutal, but
yeah, because this would have been in his exploitation era,
this was his Grindhouse, Last House on the Left, literally fucking
he just
the whole
isn't
budget
French.
You could put in a fucking shoebox, you know what I mean? But yeah, it's pretty faithful, but I really do need to go back and rewatch the original because I feel like it is gonna taint my view of this one, because Wes Craven's, in my memory, is a little bit more I don't want to use the word philosophical, but maybe has a little bit more going on.
Yeah, this is a little
bubbling
slight
under the surface. Yeah.
This to me when I was watching it. So I picked this for my weekly afternoon movie night that I do with my friend Grace. And she's not a horror person at all. Yeah, I know. So I picked this, and she's not very much of a horror person, but over the years she's been kind of dipping her toes in. She's doing what every 30-year-old woman does, and it's you start watching more and more true crime stuff, and then eventually her Netflix recommendation starts recommending her true crime horror movies, and eventually she's watching some horror stuff. So I picked this, and essentially after the movie she was kind of this was just gross. And it didn't really have much to say. She was like, do you know if the original had really anything to say, or what was the original movie about? And I was like, I don't really know. I haven't seen it. But I agree that this movie, I think its purpose more or less is kind of just to do what it did. It's this mid-2000s mean horror movie. It's gory. It's gross. It's kind of trashy. And yeah, I mean, we're not going to do Gill's theme corner already, but it's kind of there wouldn't be a whole lot to discuss there, I don't think. And when I
actually do have some notes on that, but that's fine.
But yeah, when I was
I was
Googling
stretching it.
Yeah, when I was Googling it, it was Wes Craven apparently was trying to turn away from kind of that exploitation of The Last House on the Left to something that was a little bit more substantive, was what they were saying online, and he was kind of drawing out a couple of different things that I definitely didn't get when I was watching this movie. This to me is very much indicative of the movies of its time. It is it very much exists in the shadow of those shocking, I don't know, movies that were kind of going around a Hostel or something at this time.
Yeah,
obviously
it's 100%.
Where when I'm watching, I'm just I don't know how to describe the movie other than it's mean. And then it's well, mean how? And I can't really tell you why, but when you're watching it, I get that feeling of that, it's just mean. It's mean-spirited. It's, I don't know, it just lingers.
There's no heart.
Horror. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and we're in the era of like, you know, when I think back about seeing this, I'm thinking back about seeing like Zombies Halloween, the Texas Chainsaw remake, which all of these, not only are they remakes, but like, you know, it was the
Black Christmas, same year as this.
Yeah. But like the more violent for violence sake, like just definitely darker tones, like taking all these properties and draining any theme out of them to just be like, how brutal can we get? And I mean, this is
because it's like, I feel like it was a reaction to like the 90s when horror kind of boomed again, and it was all teen oriented, and you know,
it was fun. It was silly.
Yeah, and it's more like, it was a little bit more bloodless and more character driven, and then they're like, oh no, we need to bring the violence and the scariness back, and that's serious. It was just brutal.
And well, you also have like the French extreme kind of movie movement going on at the same time, and we covered Inside, and that was what 2006 as well, was it not?
Yeah.
So and you also have Alexandre Aja doing this, and you know, he's probably inspired and a part of that movement. So it's an interesting like chemistry of all these moving parts coming together to make something truly unique and gnarly.
He's taken a lot of aspects of that movement and kind of making it more commercial, because I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I assume this was a very successful movie. This is one of those, like, people around my age or a little bit older, like some of you guys. It's just, we've all seen this movie growing up, all in our teens, right? Like, me maybe a little bit too young for it, but like, this was a popular one that was on the wall. The poster was on the walls of the VHS store. Like, my friend Grace, once again, when we were watching it, she said she doesn't know anything about the movie, but she remembers the poster of just like a guy's hand on her face. And I was like, oh yeah, that was everywhere, right?
Everywhere. Yeah.
I just looked it up. This was $15 million budget, and it made $70 million.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, also like this. This is probably a reason, you know, probably my first foray into like I just noticed this is a Platinum Dunes movie, which I believe the Texas Chainsaw was also Platinum Dunes.
It was,
like they pretty much any horror remake those guys were responsible for, which, if I'm correct, right, that's Michael Bay's.
Yes, his production company. Yeah,
which makes this just fuck way harder already for me. So.
You do have a fucking giant heart on.
I do.
Michael Bay.
I mean, great American filmmaker, Michael Bay. There's not enough drone shots in this.
Part
like,
of the Criterion Collection, Michael Bay.
That's right. But I thought it was funny because Colton brought up right away talking about the intro to this. Like, maybe to me, the most iconic intro for me. Like, I always remember this intro. And it's funny because maybe my earliest thoughts where I would be like, oh, I'm starting to think about film in different ways than just I saw a movie, it's good or bad, is even at the time, I remember thinking, I wonder how not just, I wasn't thinking about the French movement at the time, but how influenced he would have been by Mr. Zombie, because this would be after House of a Thousand Corpses, a couple years after. And I always actually relate the intro to this to very similar to the intro of House of a Thousand Corpses, where we're getting like this old TV footage with cuts in of horror into it, but has like this 50s feel. And like, I understand like that feel for The Hills Have Eyes, especially when you're dealing with like, you know, like the nuclear programs and stuff like that. But yeah, I just always felt like they were kind of in this conversation, like this movie and maybe House and Zombie and stuff. Cause to me, like, I remember seeing House of a Thousand Corpses and like being like, holy shit, this is like nothing I've ever seen. Like in an American market for my age. And then this coming out and being like, man, this kind of feels like Zombie, except I would argue Zombies movies have fun in them, where this doesn't necessarily, you know, just like, I wonder what
it's pretty bleak.
Yeah, I wonder what.
Yeah, Rob Zombie definitely has more of a sense of humor.
Yeah, Alexandre Aja is like, I wonder what it'd be like watching a movie but not having any fun.
I think the only glimpses of fun that you get in this movie at all. It's just kind of the family unit in the
Big
beginning.
Bob.
When they're Big Bob, when they're all bickering like a real family on vacation would be bickering, like probably a lot of us have felt ourselves going on vacation with your family. That I think that was some really effective writing for the beginning of the movie where, once again, I'm not going to say this movie is substantive or it has a lot to say, but I thought the characters were more well-drawn than I would expect in a lot of these sorts of movies where their motivations were like above just like, oh, I'm just trying to get laid, or I'm just following the hot chick around, or stuff like that. It was just like, okay, I understand where all these characters stand or where they are like in the family, or, you know, who hates who or who gets along with who. It was the sort of thing where when I was watching it, I you know, it was one of my first notes. It was like, oh, this feels like a real family that are stuck in a really shitty, hopeless situation.
Yeah, it is pretty easy to follow because of that too. Like, you know what you're getting. And
I thought about Gill the entire time I watched this.
Why?
Just because, like, Big Bob being, like, the gun-toting American and just your...
Yeah.
just
the
your
Democrat.
experience in America and everything you've told us behind the scenes. I'm like, this has got to be...
Guns at the dinner table.
Yes. Bibles and guns. And it's really like that here. It's really like that.
Speaking of that, Jill, I have never actually seen a gas station like this in real life. This is a common trope in a lot of these sorts of movies, like these road trip movies where you kind of go off the wrong path and, you know, you wind up somewhere where you definitely shouldn't have wound up. Have you actually seen a gas station that looks like this? Because when I saw it, I was like, oh, this is such a cool set. You can see like all the bottles on the poles, you know, it's all run down. And we've seen this dozens of times throughout, like, you know, just film history.
Wrong turn.
Yeah,
yes,
but I've never actually seen one like this. Are they everywhere in the States? Is this a common landmark?
I don't think I live in the right part of the States because I live in the Northeast and there's a lot of the population here. So the rural stuff is still pretty well connected with gas stations and stuff. I think you would see more of this in the South or in the West. And also, I was amazed to find out that this was shot in Morocco and they're emulating, desert in America, and I believed it.
Yeah, they do that quite often. I think Revenge, Coralie Farja's movie as well, is kind of doing the same thing where I think that's supposed to be set just in the South, maybe like on the border with Mexico, and they shot all that in Morocco as well. So I guess that's just the popular setting for if you're shooting some sort of Western horror movie.
It's cool.
You need rocks and cliffs.
I remember, obviously this time, but I remember when I first saw this, I think this might have also been the first time I've ever, like, been like, oh, hey, that guy. You know, I had seen Silence of the Lambs, like, so many times, and I remember being like, holy shit, this dad is the guy from Silence of the Lambs. It's Buffalo Bill.
Oh, really? I never recognized anybody even watching this movie now other than... Is it Emily DeRavin, the girl from Lost? She's the
and
Claire,
Roswell.
How dare you, Vanessa Shaw? Did you not see Hocus Pocus?
Oh
no,
yes,
I haven't seen Hocus Pocus.
I knew she looked familiar,
You're not
and I
missing
googled it
anything.
afterwards. And I was like, "That's the girlfriend in Hocus Pocus." And she
yeah,
looks the
and
same.
Ladybugs, by the way.
All right, well, all the Lost fans out there,
Yeah.
which there are dozens of us still after the finale. It's Claire is great in that show. She was great in this as well.
I think it's kind of sad because I really think, like, Ted Levine is, like, the best. Like, his character just... I'm sad that he's not in it longer because I just think he was so good in this.
Also, shout out to the son from Cougar Town, who was the kid,
I just, like, multiple times in my notes, I just to amuse myself, I think I have it 3 times written in my notes. I'm just like, fucking liberals, am I right? Like,
God.
fucking...
Yeah, he's like, oh, that's because you're a Democrat.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. Ted Levine's voice. I just love Ted Levine's voice. Obviously, also, he's in Heat, also. Is, I think, another, like, major role for him, and I just love his voice.
Yeah, that's a pretty horrific sequence when he does... Well, obviously, it's horrific the 2 times when there's horror happening around when he's obviously being burned, but a little bit earlier when he's at the gas station and there's the shotgun headshot, which was it was like one of the first moments where I was like, Oh, yeah. I only remember a couple of things about this movie. I remember the credits scaring the shit out of me. I remember it being very gory. And I remember something really bad happening on the first night there. And vague. I didn't know what specifically it was. And when I was watching it, I was like, oh, are they actually going to show a shotgun headshot? And I was like, oh, of course they are. This is a movie from 2006. Like, and they're going to linger on it for a second or two just to make sure that you do see the aftermath.
The unrated version lingers even more.
Oh, really?
I mean, yeah, basically, I know we said we talked about some. I mean, there's the only real point to make about the version on, a streamer, Disney Plus, where you go to watch all of your gory films. But
the House of Mouse loves The Hills Have Eyes.
The only difference is what all the difference was in these early 2000s DVD unrated versions is like basically any kill scene, they linger for like an extra 1 or 2 seconds. And basically the theatrical, they just cut it down a little bit. But I did look up to see, I did my due diligence to see is there like a lot of different things, and it really isn't. It's like all of it is just like, oh, they cut this by 2 seconds, or they pan to a guy's face or something instead of lingering on a pickaxe in the eye or something like that. But so the funny comparison for this is that I did watch the unrated Blu-ray that I have, which me and Mike and Colton, we've talked about this before. It was a peak time then with covers that just said unrated on them. Extreme, yeah. Like
it was always just the whole top like quarter of the case was unrated.
It's like red. It's kind of getting ripped off a little bit, or there might be some blood going across it. Yeah.
What a time to be alive.
You might get director's cut put underneath it too, but it's always like unrated.
Unrated is larger for sure.
But yeah, so I did see the comparison because I watched my Blu-ray of this, but then I watched a little bit of the second half on Disney Plus also. There was some stuff I was looking for, and so I got to see the difference there. And yeah, let me tell you, there's really not a difference. It doesn't matter how you cut this. This is just a mean film still.
Yeah.
I was hoping they were going to do the unrated version like they do with some of those sex comedies from the same time and just put a bunch of topless mutants in the background just everywhere. That's the great thing. You watch like a Eurotrip unrated, which I don't know if we've seen Eurotrip, but if you watch Eurotrip unrated, it's just like they will put like it's almost like a green screen topless woman running by in the background, like stuff like that, just constantly throughout the movie. What a banger!
Literally.
I wanted to go back to like saying the camera lingering on like gnarly things. It's throughout the whole movie, and it's what makes it, to me, the tone is really bleak. But it also just keeps building and staying on things for too long. So it makes sure that you're feeling uncomfortable. Like when the dad gets like burned and the family's just standing around like watching it and they're freaking out. Like you really feel their anguish. And also like the rape scene, that's one that I remembered from watching it a first time. And I feel like I always thought this movie was kind of gnarly, but at the time, I guess I thought it was edgy. I thought it was really cool. And I was like, this fucks. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Watching like the rape scene this time and like even the dad burning and everything, the dogs also, the dog especially hurt me. But it was like really hard for me to watch. Like I was feeling super uncomfortable.
So we might as well talk about it because you brought it. I was like, there's no way we're gonna just blow by like the rape scene, which is as uncomfortable is the iconic scene of this. I think scarred every single person that watched it.
Yeah.
This is like the only thing that if I forget anything else about this movie, this is what I remember. This was like seared into my brain from first seeing it. I remember. This might have been the first thing I ever watched that like deeply made me uncomfortable.
Yeah. And they used a lot of the images from it and the cuts as like promotional material, like the hand on the face and the like hand like kind of going like banging up against the window through the like slats of the blinds and stuff. Like all that was used in like the trailer and all the marketing, and which is kind of interesting choice.
I thought what was kind of interesting was watching it this time. So like I said, I've seen this tons of times. That scene's always very brutal, which is crazy for the crazy shit I've seen now at this age. I'm still like, this is tough, but I think it's kind of interesting because when watching it, you're like, they cut very fast. You actually don't see like not see, like, it's not one of these movies that it's like, we're just going to fully sit here and watch this full rape because we're watching the commotions going on everywhere else.
It's more implicit, but it's
But
still
that's what I
gnarly.
mean. It works so well like that I'm
well,
like,
what's interesting is you guys are discussing the rape scene, and I was there on Wikipedia reading because when I was watching it, I didn't know if an actual rape happened, like in the scene, because they were cutting around it so much. Like oftentimes you would see like thrusting, or you would see something else that would show it a little bit more. But this is like such a chaotic and like horrifying sequence that there's so much going on that it's like, oh, it's probably just I missed something a little bit more explicit, but it's like so horrifying. This sequence when I'm watching it.
I bet your friend
like,
loved you at this moment in time.
Never.
Yeah, she
again.
was very happy. Yeah, that we watched this. To be fair though, she picked Misery last week, and I mean, if you're gonna like start, picking something that's like horror or horror adjacent, eventually you're gonna wind up at The Hills Have Eyes 2006. It's it's the end of the road. But yeah, this sequence to me, like as someone who's watched a bunch of stuff, or likes a lot of movies that are more fucked up, not as fucked up as Rowan, who's like, I got Serbian film on rotation or something.
Did you say snuff or stuff?
Stuff.
Okay.
I don't sit around watching snuff. That's a bridge too far for me. But I found this very messed up, and I was kind of like, no wonder 13-year-old Colton was like scared by this movie. Like no wonder, like, and that they were so firm on you have to be 16. You're not allowed in here. I was like, I shouldn't have seen this. I shouldn't have seen this when I was 13. Because I'm 20 years older now, and I was just literally, I was like, man, this is still like, it's evoking some terror, which it's very rare that I find I get that feeling from horror movies nowadays, where it's like your heart rate picks up and you kind of like lean back a little bit. You're like, holy God, what am I watching here?
It just, that whole scene like doesn't let up, because even when the initial rape is done, it's like then we have Lizard going to like the baby's mom and like breastfeeding off of her
and the baby,
like, gunpoint in the baby, because you're kind of like, oh, like, are they just gonna kill this baby like straight up right away?
I mean, they killed a dog, so
I thought there was gonna be baby rape. Like, I didn't remember if that happened. And the first time, I know, but I was scared that they were going to go there.
You're not going to get that unless I have a pick coming up or something.
Oh, Jesus.
No, but I mean, and then it's even, and it just keeps going and going. And then, we have like the mom getting blasted with the gun, and then just came in here blasting. And then obviously we have, we have, is it Lynn, I think is her name? Like, at the end, like, I always forget they actually kill her. Like,
yeah, she gets shot in the head.
There. And, like, that to me is brutal. I know that's a little different in the unrated. The unrated, it's just like full out, you're watching gun to the head, the blast, and then you're just watching her brains pour out of her head, where I think the other one, it's like splatter. It's just like they show the wall splatter.
Yeah.
And it's just like, man, it's like, Aja.
Well,
it's
because
gnarly.
It really it literally cuts the cast in half in like 4 minutes of movie time, right? Like, it's literally just like, it builds up, and then as soon as it gets going, it's like, death, right? Like, you can't even like react to it.
Well, and I think that's that, like we said, I think that's that like French extremity,
100%
sensibility. Because I think about, like we said, Inside or even High Tension, stuff like that. Like, those are very often what those do. Like, you have this cast set out, and then by halfway through the movie, we eliminate like all that cast quickly and brutally, and then it's like more confined. It's lower number of people. Yeah, just brutal. Just quiet after we all reflect on. We're shell shocked.
We're all
on
reflecting.
I mean, I feel like we should. I feel like it's just our Canadian duties to give like a salute to Lizard, though, right? Montreal born, but St. John's raised.
It's actually funny because this is like neither here nor there, but the night before, so I watched this on Friday. It's the only time I had a few hours to watch a movie was Friday. So the night before, when I was in bed, my friend texted me and she was like, oh, look what I'm watching. And, it was like a picture of the TV screen. And I'm like, cool, whatever. Then an hour later, she texts me another picture and it's from Desperately Seeking Susan from whatever that was, 1984. It was like Madonna's first role. It was like huge with Rosanna Arquette. And she's like, a couple minutes after that, she texts me and goes, oh my God, there's a Newfoundlander in this movie. And I was like, I know, that's Robert Joy. Like, he's literally in every movie. She's like, I had no idea. I was like, go to his IMDb. It's at least 100 movies.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not even kidding.
What's hilarious is I didn't even know who you guys were talking about, and I just IMDb'd him, and I've worked with him twice.
Oh my God.
Right? Like, and so it's so funny because I said he's in every fucking movie. I'm not even kidding. I was like, every genre. He is there in the background somehow. And then literally the next day, I actually forgot that he was in this. And so then the next afternoon, I'm watching this and his name popped up on the screen and I had to take a picture of it and be like, look, you watched a movie with him last night. I'm watching a movie with him today. Colton's worked with him twice.
Yeah, this is crazy.
How many items are on his IMDb? It has to be at least 100.
Oh, yeah, he's
145 acting credits.
Yeah,
Land of the Dead.
And he was in like, I think he was like one of the recurring characters on like one of those CSI shows. And
he's on TV all the time.
Great career.
Too, yeah.
See, now you got to talk to him, Cole, and be like, you ruined my childhood. You just ruined you.
You worked with the guy who ate a budgie bird.
We totally forgot about that. Literally just bites
and traumatized you as a teenager.
Yeah, that's crazy. I guess I don't pay much attention to the mutants in these movies, and I don't know their names or anything like that. I just call that one who looks like Sloth, but that's not his name, I'm sure. So I didn't even know who was Lizard when you were talking about them.
Also, Greg Nicotero.
Yes, legend, the icon.
What one does he play?
Cyst, the guy with the headgear.
Oh, when they're in the town or whatever.
Yeah.
Which is the only time I'm always happy when I get to find like a continuity error because I never see them and people point them out and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I did notice one when they introduced that character where he's like dragging the woman. And then he hears the sound and he turns around. But when he turns around, he has a shotgun in his hand already and he's not dragging a woman. And there's no woman. But then when it goes back, he goes back to dragging a woman.
Mm-hmm. I wondered where the shotgun came from.
Yeah.
I have a question for you guys. Each one of you, who do you think is the meanest mutant? Cannibal.
I thought you were going to ask the sexiest mutant. Meanest.
Yeah, the meanest. Which one do you think is like the scariest?
Can I answer the sexiest?
Also, if you want to, sure.
No, I don't want to do it. I want to do it instead of, but not also.
Okay, fine.
Should we be creating our own BuzzFeed quizzes, like our own website that's like, what mutant are you from The Hills Have Eyes 2006?
None of them are cute.
Okay, listen, I don't know what his mutant name is, but the long-haired one at the end.
The one that just comes out of nowhere and hasn't been in the rest of the movie.
Yeah, and he hasn't been in the movie at all, but he gets to get fucking blown up by the camper. Like, come on.
Yeah, they forgot about those characters for 20 minutes because we were on this little Western movie with a guy rescuing his baby. And then they cut back and they're like, oh, we got to give these characters something to do. Let's give them a random mutant.
I feel like the answer's Lizard, right? Like, he is the meanest mutant.
I think he's the meanest. Maybe the sexiest, too.
He commits the rape.
Oh my
he kills everybody. He eats the bird. Like, yeah, he's going to eat a baby.
Does he breastfeed? Does he breastfeed as well?
Yes, Like, I just feel like...
Yeah, that's probably the only answer. I think the... The correct answer is the rapist. Of all the mutants, which one's the worst? Because all the rest of them are doing the same thing.
But then do we have to, do you have to play the left-wing devil's advocate on this of like, well, the government destroyed their town and these guys just wanted to live. They wanted to be in their town.
Oh, listen, you just said that. That is all of my notes, honestly. I'm gonna come out with it. My whole page of notes is all about how, you know what? Maybe this is like colonization. When they get out of that camper with their goddamn American flag sticking up out of it, and they put out the fake grass and put out their lawn chairs, I was like, you fucking pieces of shit. I hate
So
you.
I would do the same thing, honestly. Get comfy.
But the mutants that we're following in this movie are also like colonists as well, because they're like a mining people, right? Like they obviously
but they were like so listen, here's the thing. So maybe it hit me because I was thinking about it in terms of here and like, you know, forced resettlement and stuff, but the government was trying to force them out and they refused and they bombed them.
That's true.
In their own homes because they didn't want to move.
I don't think the homes we're seeing is their own homes, but
not literally those homes, but they lived here. That's the little fucking flashes
they did,
you see.
but my argument is that if you're making like the colonization argument, that they also did the same thing to the people before them. The Native Americans were chased off by these mining folks when they were setting up. I don't know if these guys are great.
That's what it is.
At the end of the day, this is a win for America. When he planted the American flag in that mutant's head, I gave it a little fuck yeah. That's
a question.
I actually quite enjoyed that he got his own American flag in the head because it was like, okay.
It was sharp too. That was pointy as hell. It was mean.
Are we going to talk about like the little tonal shift going on at the second half of this movie from the first half?
That I mentioned, where it becomes like a cowboy western and the music changes as well, and it's like triumphant, like ecstasy of gold-esque music. I think the movie for me, it started to drag a little bit at that moment for me. I think it kind of peaks so early with the terror and horror of that one night that when you're just kind of going with that one character on, you know, this quest essentially to retrieve his baby, it was still good, but it wasn't as good, is what I'll say.
Yeah.
It definitely had a bit of a change.
I mean, I can only watch Pluto crash through so many walls before.
Well, it becomes a slasher straight up at that moment. Like
Yeah.
it feels like a Friday the 13th sort of movie.
I'm not gonna lie, I was more invested in the dog than giving a shit about his baby.
Same.
I'm like, honestly, as long as the dog is fine.
Who's
it's all good.
The big brain mutant, the big head guy. Looks like he's from Head of the Family, which is a Full Moon Entertainment movie, also about like nuclear, family.
I was thinking he looked like he came out of like Resident Evil Code Veronica or something, you know?
I was just impressed. I mean,
4.
I don't know a lot of Americans, but I was like, this guy might know the national anthem better than any American I've ever met. It's the only time I've understood the words. I had the captions on.
Well, you know he was there January 6th.
Oh my gosh. Just hiding in the background, scuttling around.
Did we buy his rationalization for it? It seems like, Mike, that you did buy that their reason for doing this is because they were basically resettled to a certain degree by the nukes, and they're all, that's why they're taking it out. I don't know if that like really tracked for me for whatever reason. When I think it was just literally the colonial aspect of it, that they did the same thing probably 50 years earlier, that I was like, that's just the way of things, I think, whether it's horrible or not.
That's bleak.
It was just like you're just taking it out on random people kind of passing through. It was like in the opening of the movie, I get it, when they're going out with basically these scientists coming back to this irradiated area.
Great
these people,
opening.
These people visibly read like as if they're from the U.S. government, that they're part of this nuclear testing, or at least an extension of it. These people on their family vacation that took a wrong turn because the guy at the gas station has some sort of agreement with the mutants that he's getting paid in their lost belongings, so then they can take them and feed them. It was just,
who doesn't want an ear in a styrofoam hamburger cup?
Yeah, it was the sort of thing where I almost would have just rathered, I think, a different rationalization by that mutant. His name was Big Brain.
But yeah, I was gonna say, I said Big Brain, then I'm like, oh, that's his name.
That's his name. Yeah, you nailed it. I don't know if I bought it, I guess. I mean, they can explain it any way they want or rationalize their...
The family's got to eat, and that corner store sucks. You're not getting many snacks from there.
This is true.
It is very Fallout.
Fully stocked with water, though. Like, it looks like they continuously fill their water bottles, they're, like, new.
Ro, those aren't water bottles.
Did
you ever see The Aviator?
Yes.
Those are not water bottles, my friend.
I really like the aspect of the explanation of why they're doing it. Like, oh, society made them monsters, so now they're gonna get their revenge. But I feel like they should have incorporated that more instead of just discovering about it like in the newspaper clippings. It would have been cool to see like more interference from the government or, you know, something more from that time. Maybe like a prequel kind of thing would be cool where like...
Yeah, instead of whatever that sequel was.
Well, but the sequel's kind of doing what Jill's saying, though, right? Like, they're sending in the military, which is an extension of the government, where... I don't know if I want the explanation at all. It's just the explanation that the movie has given us, I didn't really... like, obviously I sympathize with it, but it didn't completely track for me, because they're talking about how, like, everything around here was, you know, destroyed, and, you know, it's ash, and it's like, well, it's ash, but you're also living in a community with a bunch of there are houses and whatnot around there, you know, and I understand,
and they're fake houses, so
I know it's Nuketown, you know, it's mannequins. I get it. It was just, I don't know, the purely the monologue they gave, I didn't sympathize with it, I guess, which makes me a bad person, but probably not as bad as the mutants in the movie, I guess.
Stop.
Colton does not sympathize with the outsider.
I don't sympathize with the colonizers that are making the colonization argument after they colonized literally probably 30 years earlier, I guess.
30 years, girl.
I don't know.
Open the schools.
We can search up the dates, but like the dates they were talking about was like from the 40s to the 70s, right? Like the nuclear testing.
Yeah.
So I don't think you'd have to go back too far, a generation or two.
I just gotta say again that intro's a banger too. That intro's such a bang. Like the goggle vision, and then you're just watching the guy with the pickaxe just fucking go in on him. I do kind of wish there was a little more of that, because I like that. Maybe because it's kind of video gamey. It's a little first person. I like that.
It's creepy. Like you're looking at someone.
Although we have like many a history of movies that have tried this first person and it just doesn't work. So I don't want a whole movie of that, but I just, it's good. It's good. I like it. I'm kind of iffy on the Ruby stuff. Like, I don't know if I really care. Maybe watching this movie on age has made me not care about this sympathetic mutant child, and I'm brutal and nasty and mean, but I don't know. I was just like, I'd probably just rather all these mutants be the villains or whatever and killing people. I don't need this like kid mutant running around.
I liked her. Ruby was great. And,
I like the other.
Ro said, "I want a monolithic other to villainize."
Well, I like the other kids. I thought the other kids were creepy. Like some kid had like a Iron Mask situation going on there. Like he was Leonardo DiCaprio.
They were in the movie for 3 seconds. I like that. You're like, yeah, those other kids had one line. they were great. Yeah. I thought the makeup effects on all the mutants was very well done. It was the sort of thing where I'm only looking at what the actual actors look like now on the IMDb page as we're recording. I actually thought that some of these actors would have some sort of like visual deformities or something, like to say it, because like the makeup work was so effective that I thought there would be, you know, something already there that they were working with.
Robert Joy just kind of looks like Lizard with some makeup on. Like, he looks the close. I mean, he had the least amount of makeup, I think. They just around the mouth and, like, the burned skin going on. But, like, he, like everyone else, like, the guy who plays Pluto doesn't look anything like Pluto. And I just thought that was interesting.
Pluto Sloth? Is that Sloth from the Goonies?
See, and I always call him Tiny from House of a Thousand Corpses. But like you said, like the guy that plays Tiny in House of a Thousand Corpses, like I believe he actually looks pretty scary in real life. Like I think he's got like some sort of like congenitive or whatever you call it, like disease, where this guy I think is just big and they put makeup on him just like a big giant killer.
It was just, I was impressed by some of like the mismatched eyes and stuff like that, or like kind of like once again it fooled me. I thought there would be like, you know, visual deformities among some of these people of the cast, so they did they killed it in the makeup department on all fronts, the gore, but also just the actual prosthetic work I thought was very, very well done.
I'll say it one more time. Gregory Nicotero Just killing it. But also,
King.
I read a little bit about how they got inspiration for the look, and they were looking at photos of like Vietnam victims, as well as like radiation victims from like Chernobyl and stuff like that. So I thought that was pretty cool touch as well.
This is an adult podcast, so I decided not to be like, they were looking pictures of your mom. But yeah, I mean, honestly, like, I was also thinking when I was watching this, like, Alexandre Aja, like, he could not make another movie. Like, if he made this, like, he made lots of other movies. Obviously, he did Never Let Go that it came out last year, and you know, he's done like Crawl and all that stuff. But I was like, literally, like, to me, he could have just made this. Piranha. But he could have made this and disappeared. And I'm just like, goat. Like, this is like, I think this is like an all time, like, if you're a first time director, like, if you're not a first time director, but like as a director, my introduction to you, the first time my introduction to you.
Yeah, it was like his first like American film.
Yeah, like what a just like, I'm here and I fuck. Like, this is so good. I mean, Never Let Go, you know, High Tension. Like, I'm one of the ones I still haven't seen Crawl.
P2 is underrated.
But I know, like, people love Crawl.
Apparently, Crawl is his most popular movie.
Yeah, I was going to say,
seen it.
I know people love it. Like, everyone I talk to loves it.
Big fan of Joggist, but Crawl is, you know, pretty mediocre in my opinion. But, you know.
But yeah, no, I fuck Sarah with them.
I think this is a hard one to discuss for any length of time. I feel like we've already kind of spun our wheels and whatnot. Literally, all I have to say about it after a certain point is like, oh, it gets a little long in the tooth and it becomes a Western, and they forget about a couple of characters and they don't know what to do with them. Even though I think their MacGyver-esque solution of how to like blow up the one long-haired mutant is pretty interesting.
Which is really a waste. To just kill one guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess the last note that I have to say is that this movie ends, and it ends on a triumphant note in terms of the music, and they're all together. And, you know, the father's back with his baby.
Here I come with my big dog. And,
my dog, my baby. I'm covered in blood. I'm changed. I'm a Democrat who loves guns now. I've used them for the last 20 minutes. Yeah. These people are just still completely fucked. Like, completely and hopelessly fucked. That when I watch this movie at the end, I like, even without the binocular shot, which is obviously like, oh, there's more mutants that have their eyes on them. They're screwed. It was the sort of thing that I was like, this is such a hopeless ending still. Despite how much Alexander Aja and the score and the cinematography and everything tries to build it up for this triumphant ending, I'm like, yeah, they're all dead within like 2 days from
the
this
camper
moment at most.
Is blown up.
It's gone.
Father's corpse, hamburger meat.
Yeah.
Mother's corpse, cannibal meat. Like, the corpses are desecrated. Like, what is there even like left?
I would
you know,
just kill myself.
Yeah, the odds aren't good. It's a very bleak ending. It's just, once again, a mean movie. This is a mean movie.
Which I kind of like.
I want to make a comment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so listen, maybe it's just me, and I feel like I might have brought this up before, but I do find that interesting because that is where my brain always goes in horror movies. When we get to the end, is the credits come up and it's like doo-doo-doo, and all I can think about is literally the next like 4 hours that come after the credits, or the next 24 hours or whatever, and like how fucked it is. Like, how the fuck do they get out of there? Like, I keep thinking, how do you explain this to the authorities?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, and there's no body, and you know what I mean? Like, it's just, everything is so fucked. It's like, why would anybody ever believe this? Like, they're just gonna be like, you killed them and throw you in jail, you know? Like, that's all I ever think about. It's like the trauma and like how the fuck do you explain this? How do you get out of this? You know, it's just, that's where my head goes. And it's, I don't know, maybe I'm like inserting myself, like I get too caught in my own brain, and I'm just like, thinking about the hopelessness of this situation, because it's always hopeless, even when it has that triumphant moment at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, because in 20 minutes, the other mutants are just going to kill them, and they're going to be, I mean, they're like, the guy that, you know, went and fought all the other mutants, Doug, like, I mean, he's barely hanging on the life as it is. He's got the dog and the baby, but he's all beat the shit. Those mutants are coming in. Those guys are food in
True.
a half hour. But I was going to say, I like the ending because I think it's kind of interesting, you know, as many movies as we talked about on this podcast. It's such a theme, especially with remakes or, Americanized stuff that you gotta have like this happy ending. So for Alexander Aja to then end it with the binocular scope of like, nope, these guys are fucked. Like, you got your American happy ending, but I'm giving you the real ending that all is hopeless.
I thought there was a chance that the ending was going to be even more hopeless, where essentially the father was coming back. He was covered in blood. He just killed a bunch of people. I thought they were going to do the ending of like, oh, he's no longer too different from the mutants themselves, and thought like maybe this Republican gun-toting kid, was it Bobby, was gonna maybe shoot him from the distance, thinking it was a mutant or something like that.
Yeah.
I honestly didn't know how this ended. I couldn't remember, and I was like, oh, there's a chance that just he's freaked out. He has no cover, nothing like that. He sees someone in the distance and picks him off or something.
That's rough.
Let's close this dark chapter and land the plane. If you're new to our program, our rating system is nay, okay, yay, or slay. Jill, this was your pick. You wanted to revisit your good old days of 2006. Or what would you rate The Hills Have Eyes?
Man, 2006 was a rough year. I am going to give The Hills Have Eyes 2006 a yay, because it's still a very like prominent movie for me. Just like the memories I have with it. And I still very much liked most things about it. I think the only things I didn't really like about it is that it kind of dragged on a little bit, like you said, with that tonal shift, and it, like Colton said, it kind of peaked early with all that violence and gore, and the rest is just like this quest that keeps going on that you don't really care for anymore. So I couldn't give it a slay because of that. And also it's like really friggin' brutal. I don't know what I was on when I was whatever age watching this, and I thought this was like not that like hard to watch. Watching this now as an adult is pretty difficult, and for like the same reason that I gave Inside, I think I also gave it a yay. Same thing here. I really like it, but I wouldn't be able to rewatch this very often because it's gnarly, it's rough, it's bleak. So yeah, it's a yay for me, but I still really liked it. Mike, how do you rate it?
Okay, so hear me out. Mm-hmm. I fully, even before I rewatched it, and then even thinking like after the rewatch, like what I was going to come in here with, and I was fully expecting that I was going to yay it. But over the last couple days, the more I think about it, the more I'm just going to give it an okay. And for several reasons. One is that the women just have nothing to do in this movie, and that always bothers me. Like, I didn't pretend, this is not like, I don't give a shit about this in a movie, but like, I did not care for any of the characters, like, at all. And I understand that there was maybe some like critiquing of post 9/11 Americans at the time, and that is perhaps why. But I just like literally for whatever reason, this rewatch, because of the headspace I was in, I was just like, I cannot forgive this movie for like, it's literally like Emily DeRaven gets nothing to do. They kind of like throw her a bone at the end, and it's like, oh, you get to like stab somebody who's already dead. And, just like the other two are just like, instantly murdered. And it's like, okay, cool. So now I just have to watch these like asshole dudes.
Yeah, you're right.
And like, I used to really enjoy, oh my God, what's his name? His character, the main guy. Fuck.
Doug?
Anyway, Doug, yes. Doug reminds me a lot of one of my best friends for the most part. And I just found even his character this time around, I'm like, ugh, it's just too like, and I know that, it undercuts it at the end, but like, it just builds him up to be a little bit too much like, oh, I'm going to go from like nerdy, cell phone salesman Democrat to like America, fuck yeah. And no, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, he's such a fucking wife guy. Like, at the end when he's like looking at he's covered in blood everywhere, but his wedding ring is still pristine.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God, I didn't even notice
that. It gives him like the power. It gives him the power to like, level up right at the end of the movie.
Yeah, it's like Captain Planet or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was a lot of aspects of this that just didn't hit right with me now, and I don't know if it's because I had a bad week or if it's the movie's fault or maybe a little bit of both, but just the more I think about it, the more I'm kind of like grappling with it and thinking that maybe all of my original reactions to it were because I was stoned and I loved his other movie. So, and I look back on it and it's just very much like an absolute product of its time. And I don't know, maybe it's more like kind of commercial and predictable than I would have liked from him. But I mean, you know, that's the production company at the time. What do you expect? So honestly, yeah, I got to land on an okay. It didn't hit me this time. Maybe the next time I watch it, I'll feel different, but yeah, I'm going to give it an okay. What about you, Colton?
Yeah, when I was watching it, I felt like it didn't hold up quite as well as what I remembered either. But once again, the last time I saw it, I was 13, right? And it scared the shit out of me. This time, it was sort of like I had this feeling of like I'm subjecting one of my friends to a pretty gory, horrific horror movie that I haven't seen in 20 years, and I didn't realize it was quite so bad. So I think I'm going to settle on a very weak yay. It's definitely something that I agree with Mike, that by and large, this movie, it's pretty slight. I shouldn't really like it that much, but I think there is like that nostalgic boost that for me, it's just like it was such a formative movie where I was sneaking in with my friends and whatnot and just scared the shit out of me, that I'll give it a slight boost. I do think, at least, even if I don't like the characters, I agree with Mike, it's the sort of thing that they were well drawn enough that I knew what sort of characters they were. I do think the women in the movie are underused, especially like they do feel like badasses, the three of them there for a moment before they're all basically mowed down.
Yeah.
The gore is still really effective. I think the opening credit sequence is great. It's just, and just like, it's such a singular movie from the time in terms of, well, I guess this is going to go against the word singular, but it kind of feels like a very good example of the tone so many of these sorts of horror movies were striking at the time, that I don't really realize until I revisit them. Because this sort of tone doesn't really exist in horror movies anymore. They're either, if they're going to be this mean or this nihilistic, they wind up more in like the elevated slow burn space, or they're just a lot more like commercial and more fun and, you know, usually playing to a wide audience. This is a horrific movie that they just don't really make this sort of movie anymore.
Let's bring it back. Yeah. Let's bring it back.
So I'm gonna give it a yay. I think it's good at what it's doing, even if there's not much to discuss after you see it all. And I don't know if it'll really stay with me other than some of the shocking moments. Rowan, what about yourself?
Yeah, so, I mean, we all kind of said how formative this was and stuck in our brain. You know, unlike Mike, I'm not a liberal snowflake. No, I'm just kidding.
Hell yeah.
No, you're not.
So, I just, everything about this, I still did enjoy it. I really was, like, in my mind, I don't know about you guys, but, like, in my mind, like, this was just like a sleigh. I was like, there's no way, even if it's been years since I've rewatched it, like, I was like, there's no way a movie like this that affected me so much that, like, when I think of things that, like, truly shake me to my core, like, I can automatically recall almost every beat of that, like, rape scene. Like, it's just, like, it's so, I'm just like, this is like an actual horror movie that I, like, made me feel gross and all that kind of stuff. You know, like I said, I saw a couple flaws and I didn't see any other time I watched it, but I did kind of like everyone else feel like in that second half it kind of dragged a little. I kind of wish it was a little more of that feeling of the first half of the movie and a little less of this Western feeling that we were talking about. And I also agree, Colton said it a bunch of times, where unfortunately, this movie forgets about half of its characters for a lot of it. So then, yeah, I'm like, well, this, you know, there's these people that you want us to care about. They're, like, the younger daughter, like, literally went through this whole middle scene of, like, being raped. And then we're like, guess what? We don't really care. Like, you're no longer in the movie until the very end. So I'm going to give it a yay still. Like, I still think it slaps for me. And like I said, I'm like, bring these movies back. To me, this had to have really shaped my taste, even though I saw it when, you know, I was older. And I think just for you know, what I'm like and how I'm always trying to find things that push me and you know, make me uncomfortable. And I always talk about how, like, you know, jump scares and stuff normally don't really get me, like that kind of stuff. So it's got to be something I just feel disgusting about and feel disgusting as a human being. And this was the start of that venture, I guess. So there's definitely like a pipeline of The Hills Have Eyes 2006 to a Serbian film. There's no way there's not, like the saws and the hostels, and you just make your way through.
Oh, we didn't mention the saw editing in this. There's two moments that I was just like, this is saw editing. Like, clearly he saw saw. It was just when Sloth from the Goonies calls into the walkie-talkie and we like crash zoom to the father being lit up on the pyre. Just the way like
Slap
it
so
shakes
hard.
and cuts
It's
in
so
on him.
good.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, it's pure
That's like
saw.
my fourth note. Yeah.
Yeah. And then there was another moment where it's the mutant who she's bald and she's combing the hair of like the doll, and then he goes into the house and he bangs into her halfway through and it does the saw edit again, like the multiple like crash zooms and on her face, and I was just like, oh, this sort of editing doesn't exist anymore either. That is just so singular and it's just so cheesy.
But yeah, so a yay for me. Like I said, this is a formative film and I still enjoy it. So 3 yays and an okay for The Hills Have Eyes 2006, which is great for me. I was not optimistic about where this was going to be rated, but I like that we settled there. So we told you what we thought about the film, and we asked you what you thought about the film, and I was surprised. Only one person answering on this.
That's weird.
Wow.
Maybe people just didn't want to write their opinions. Lots of likes when we were asking and stuff on different platforms, but no one wrote it. Maybe just no one wants to be like, oh, you know, really love that scene in the middle. Great times. They don't want to be a weirdo. But Holly P did write in and just said, too torture for me. Can't rewatch, but will listen to you lovely folks.
Aww.
Yeah, I mean, I
get it.
Appreciate
I
it.
get it. I mean, I get it, but I don't. It's a banger, Holly. Just rewatch it.
Ro understands, but he will not agree.
Protect your peace, Holly.
If you can,
yeah, exactly. I get it.
If you can watch Multiple Maniacs, you can watch this. You're all right.
Oh my god.
But with that, we did have Horrorhound Nicholas call into the horrific hotline, so let's go over there and see what he has to say.
Okay, I think Rowan said something of The Hills Have Eyes being an iconic horror movie for this generation, and I guess I agree with that. In terms of remakes, I guess it is up there for horror remakes as well as for remakes in general. I think it is a very good and very terrifying, very violent movie. I am not quite sure if it tops the Wes Craven movie because I haven't seen it in so many years. The Wes Craven movie, I haven't seen that one in so many years. That was what I meant. And I remember really kind of liking the grittiness and the low budgetness, if that is a word, of the Craven movie. So I might have to rewatch that. However, The Hills Have Eyes, the remake, it's sweaty, it's dirty, it's bloody, and that is just the same you feel when you watch the movie. It's similar to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre in that it really wraps up the violence of the original movie, and you just feel dirty and sweaty when you watch it. The cannibal, mutant, incest people are disgusting, both in their behavior and to look at. And the final act, when the movie becomes kind of this more action-focused, fast-paced movie, is great, as well as the build-up to the first incident. Though the first attack on the camper, I have to say, is, for my taste of movie, a bit too sadistic in the depiction of sexual violence and threat towards, well, a baby and the killing of the family pets, the birds. Not necessarily that a movie can't be too hard, more that with the more entertaining, though very gory action finale, it felt a bit too strong rewatching it now. Though it is still terrifying, and I think I'm running in circles now, praising the movie. I guess I am still at a weak slate for this movie. I do like it a lot, though this rating might change a bit when I rewatch the original Wes Craven movie. And I do have to briefly mention it because I do not like the sequel to this. Have you guys seen that? I loved it as a teenager because it was just even more gore and action, but I rewatched both of them. And that one does not hold up. It looks like a direct-to-DVD or direct-to-TV movie.
Yeah, not exactly shocked by that. I think none of us really have fond memories of the sequel. Yeah.
You gotta watch out,
I thought
Nicholas.
it was okay at the time, but probably rewatching it, it wouldn't hold up.
Nicholas calling those mutants ugly and saying bad things. I don't want you to get canceled out here, bud. So, you don't want the mutants coming after you. I was gonna say,
as long as you don't use that one slur, hillbilly.
Oops.
Yeah,
you'll be fine.
Nicholas in his email did have a good question he wanted us to answer about the movie, and he said, would we say that Alexandria Aja will become a household name like Carpenter or Craven in the future? And he said, I mean, he does have a lot of watchable to surprisingly good, entertaining movies under his belt. And also wanted to know what our favorite Aja film was.
I don't know if he has that commercial aspect of it or like a singular, like stylistic aspect to his movies. Like if you watch, Never Let Go, I don't think that feels very similar to The Hills Have Eyes or to High Tension, where you watch a Carpenter movie, you can kind of feel that it's a Carpenter movie. So
yeah.
I don't know if he would become like that sort of household name, but I think in these sort of like sicko circles, like this more extreme sort of horror, I think most people would know his name at least. And most people would probably know him from either High Tension or from this, I would assume.
I'm going to assume Colton's favorite movie, not High Tension. If I had to bet. I remember his
you don't have
reviews.
To bet.
Yeah.
I was going to say we covered it on the show, Rowan.
Yeah, I was going to say I agree. Like, he doesn't really have a visual style, I don't think, from everything I've seen from him. But I'm a sicko, and like just this movie alone, like I hold him in such high regards. Like when I am talking to just random people about horror movies and stuff, like he is a name I mention often of like, I'm like, this guy is just like a master. And it's like really off of how much this film affected me. I love High Tension. I really enjoyed Never Let Go. Like, I enjoyed it way more than I thought I would. And the answer to the second part of the question for me, I mean, this is it. This is my favorite movie he's done. Just the way it affected me. And I just think this is where I think he's his best. Just like mean. And maybe I'm wishing for a time that doesn't exist anymore.
I agree also.
I looked at my reviews. I rated both The Hills Have Eyes and Oxygen, which I don't know if anyone else here has seen Oxygen, the same. I gave them both 3.5. So I don't know, one of those. I'd probably say The Hills Have Eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I would say The Hills Have Eyes.
I mean, we all know I'm High Tension.
Oh,
that's
100%.
true.
Come on, like it's just me.
High Tension's on my list to watch. I know I'm really gonna like it, but I also really enjoyed Never Let Go. But I think The Hills Have Eyes is my favorite one so far, and I agree with what Colton and Rowan said earlier. I think he's a little too edgy, like a little too gnarly and messed up for like kind of mainstream, to be like commercial or mainstream as a horror household name. But in these circles, yeah, totally. I think he has some respect.
I think someone who's doing like a similar thing to him is Fede Alvarez.
Yes.
Who, obviously, he's a little bit more commercial, right? He's like the one step up from here, where he's still making nasty, gnarly horror at times with Evil Dead or Don't Breathe. Going back to some of those like sexual violence aspects, right?
Yeah.
But he's just kind of in a slightly higher echelon, right? Where he's doing like Alien Romulus and stuff, as opposed to, these CGI crocodile movies. So I feel like if someone was kind of going to steal that flair, who's making like gory horror things, but like becomes a little bit more of a household name, I feel like it'd be more Fede Alvarez than Alexander Aja at this point. But who knows? We don't know what their careers look like from this point onward. And with that, if you want to be like Nicholas and leave us a voicemail, you can do so at It Slays Podcast, either via email at itslayspodcast@gmail.com or on any of our socials at It Slays Podcast. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Slasher, Letterboxd, Threads, Bluesky, TikTok. If there's a social media, we're probably there at It Slays Podcasts. And if you want to send us a voicemail, we'll make sure that it makes the air. And if you want to help support the show financially, like our horror hounds Holly, Nicholas, Mark, Steven, Dan, Brian, Trevor, and James, gain access to the Patreon exclusive show Stream Screams, hosted by Gill, and get episodes of this here main show 48 hours early, be sure to head on over to patreon.com/itslayspodcast and choose whatever tier works best for you. Rowan, we didn't really discuss the music in this movie. I don't know if there was any
gotta put that
signature
50
needle
song
drops.
in for you. Just
okay.
How dare you? California Dreamin'.
Yeah, they do play California Dreamin'. Yeah, we gotta put that 50 song in just for Colton, so you can remember that iconic intro.
Absolutely.
You can go to the It Slays Podcast horrific playlist on Spotify. If you have any problems finding it, you can go to any of the social media that Colton just mentioned, go in the bio, click the Linktree link. It'll take you directly there. We upload scores and licensed music from iconic horror movies we review, or just horror movies we love. We update it regularly. So, go follow it and get your spooky music on, because why the hell not? And then I got one more announcement before we go into our upcoming, because this will come out beforehand. But we are sponsoring another TerrorVision screening event. It is on July 9th at Lower Sackville, the Cineplex. And we're showing a good one. One that the podcast we reviewed and we loved. We're going to be watching Daddy Lugosi in they're screening Dracula from 1931. So the doors open at 6:30, and the pre-show and the film is at 7:30. So go get your tickets. I think it's pretty cheap. I think it's usually somewhere between like $15 to $17. They usually have posters that they custom make for the events and stuff. So I'll be there. We'll have giveaways. I'm sure we'll have shirts and movies and all that stuff. I should give stuff that isn't Dracula. I'll just give away copies of Hills Have Eyes to everybody.
Nice.
Yeah.
One of your 20 different copies that you own.
So, go there and have a good time. Support it. Say hi if you see me. I'll say hi back. But with that, all that is left is to announce our upcoming episode, and it is a Colton pick. He's back. That's why he's back. He's back because he knew he had to pick something, and unfortunately, he's sad now because I think it was The Hills Have Eyes 2, and then Nicholas just crapped all over it. So
it was not The Hills Have Eyes 2, but I wasn't joking where I was genuinely disappointed that Gill has watched From Dusk Till Dawn in recent memory. That was going to be my pick.
God.
I had it kind of settled on for my summer pick for a while now, especially when we were kind of discussing it with Sinners discourse and whatnot. But so now I'm kind of lost. I don't know exactly what to pick. I have two that I can go either way. Do we want something that's more a slow burn but horror movie that I think is good? Or do we want something that's most likely very bad, but I haven't seen it in a while?
Oh, this is so intriguing.
Rowan,
I feel like a summer movie.
You
don't want to slow.
I kind of want a bad Colton.
Yeah,
pick.
let's do a bad Colton pick.
Yeah.
All right, if that's the case, then we're doing Gothica from 2003.
Oh, damn.
See, that is a summer pick right there, my friend. You're learning. You're learning.
I've never seen
listening and learning.
The listeners can't see, but Mike is he looks like a proud dad right now. He's just beaming right now.
I'm writing A+ on his report card.
If you follow Colton on Letterboxd, I feel sorry for you because there's no more A24 coming your way. It's just he's only watching Mike picks from now on. He's been converted.
Blushing.
So, get Gothica into your eye holes, and we'll be back in 2 weeks. As always, thank you for all the support. I should say, I've been meaning to say, I want to say thank you to all the people on YouTube we get like so many YouTube comments every week now, and if you're listening, you're talking to me. I'm the one that's responding back to them. But there's people that are like responding to every episode, and we're having conversations about it.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, thank you for listening in YouTube land. And, unfortunately we don't do video, but that's because we're horrible looking mutants. So we can't have that kind of stuff on us. But yes, thank you for all the support. As always, I am your humble host, Rowan.
Bye, it's Mike.
I'm Colton.
And bye, it's Jill.
See you later.